guys, win the seller. Some of our expectations today, well, we're going to understand how to use a pre-listing package effectively. 2, we're going to learn and even practice a listing presentation. 3, we're going to ask for the listing agreement to be signed. So we're going to learn how to do that. Action reveal. So who have you guys, by the way, who have you had so far teach? Brad's seen it, I think, the first day, right? Everyone's signed?
Yeah.
Helpful?
Yeah.
Very good. Awesome. All right. So did you guys do your homework, the mission?
Best we could. What's that for a vague answer?
This is definitely a vague answer. So my challenge to you guys is, I mean, you guys are coming to the class to do the mission, right? The people I see that succeed in this business and the people I see fail, there's one big difference. What do you think that difference is? Well, yeah, you can say yeah, they do the classes, but the biggest thing, right, is long term, right? The biggest thing is execution. A lot of agents learn a lot of stuff, but a lot of agents don't actually do this stuff, right? If you don't actually do what you learn, then the learning is just really expensive education or entertainment, right? It's really just, education just becomes expensive entertainment. And it's not even that great of entertainment, is it? So I know some people get off on it, but, so did anybody do the mission? Any part of the mission? You guys watch the videos?
I don't have access to that system.
Well, not to the KW Connect yet. What are some of the ahas?
Well, when I watched the listing presentation, that guy was so thorough. I couldn't believe it. Like how he remembered he must have had notes, obviously. It was great.
Well, yeah, he definitely had the little page thing that he was flipping through, right? But he had a script down,
Yeah.
right, for what he went through. And can you imagine that script is pretty much exactly the same for every single seller? I mean, just minus a couple things about the market, right? So once you commit that script to memory, you'll actually be able to continually do that. So maybe learning a script, having a listing presentation is huge. Probably 90% of agents out there just kind of wing it, from what I've noticed. They actually don't have a solid listing presentation. They don't have something that's structured in order. You'd be surprised how many times I've gone into a listing appointment where they've met with like 4 other agents, and I, just do my listing presentation. It's literally nothing fancy, but it's just structured, and I have it scripted essentially. How many times people say, "Wow, that's really impressive. Like that's so professional." I'm thinking to myself, well, you're paying me to sell a house. I'm getting paid really well to do it. The least I can do is actually be professional how I want to be treated like a professional, right? So that's one of the things about listing presentation, which is so important, is it'll actually set you above, not just in, I mean, really, it's to set in their eyes that you're professional, but actually to also act like a professional. So what other ahas do we have? Nothing? No ahas? Eric, any ahas? No? No ahas?
Do you pretty much follow along the listing presentation as it was printed out? Or do you have something else that you got?
I do something else, a little bit different.
But do you advise turning the page? Is that how you would do it?
Yeah, look, different people do different ways. Some people have things. I have papers that I use. I have it upside down so they can look at it.
If you know what's coming, just kind of go over.
Yeah, I know exactly what's coming. Yeah, it heads off a lot. I mean, it makes a big difference, right, in actually conveying your authority and your expertise to the seller. Now, I know in a lot of places, they may not be that big of a deal, but in San Diego, would you say competition's pretty thick for agents? It's literally way different than like every other market. There's a reason why people come into this market from like every other market. So I don't know if you guys know this. This is not to scare you guys at all, because if you guys really plug in and do the work, you'll be successful. But the problem is there's a lot of teams that are in other parts, very successful teams. And have you guys heard of expansion? It's where they like drop, they'll go ahead and they'll create another team. So Ben Kinney is a guy, he has teams all over. He might have started in Portland, but now he has somebody in, he has a team in Sacramento. He has a team in, let's just say Utah. These teams all over in these major metropolitan areas, and they just do it. They just replicate their systems, and they do the work, right? Basic scripting, basic whatever. A lot of teams come to San Diego, and almost every single one fails. Even these big guys, they come in and fail, and it's because the market here is so much different. That doesn't mean it's necessarily bad. It's just different than what they're used to. The methods that work in other places don't necessarily work here. So, for example, a lot of people do basic farming where they have crummy postcards and whatever, and they just mass mail the place, and it works. People pick up listings, and it goes like crazy. Here, you might have like 5 agents farming a specific area at any one time. It depends on what part, right? I guarantee you La Jolla is going to be much more heavily farmed in Scripps Ranch than, National City, for example, right? Because of the price point. But the point is, right, is to understand that the reason why I'm stressing this is because your skills are more important than ever, and to explain and show your authority more than ever, right? Does that make sense? So learning things like the listing presentation is, I would say, of utmost importance. And once you actually learn the listing presentation, we're going to kind of go through it today and explain a little bit about it. But when you actually understand that stuff, it's going to make you confident when you go in and speak with the seller. You're going to be confident throughout your presentation. You'll be confident in your numbers. You're going to be confident in next steps. And when you're confident, what do you think that makes the sellers? Yeah, they'll be confident about you. They'll be comfortable. Do you think they're going to trust you more? Right? Just saying, a lot of people won't practice this. I think, if you should do it, right? And then do the activities. Daily 10-4. You guys are doing your daily 10-4. What is the daily 10-4?
Is about finding more people and then connecting with people. Thank you notes.
Right, so 10 contacts, 10 notes, 10 connections. All right, so we're going to go through, if you guys want to get in teams of 2, and then you guys can do 3, I guess. And just add up your numbers, and we're going to go over your numbers, okay? So 1, 2, 3, we'll have 3 teams. Sure, take 2 minutes, come up with your numbers together. And you have to come up with a name, too.
What time are we looking at?
Just since the last class.
You want to be a team?
Oh, just, you're going to go with it.
It's going to be on the
Oh, he's not those 3.
Without that, I can't walk.
Okay, so
You just say that. How many songs?
I was just looking at it where they were 6 of them.
well, I'm tracking it.
Oh, okay.
So I have the ones I did in December.
I assume I'll actually have the best. But it's really
Yeah, so we average.
Oh, no, obviously. I would never show up. There really isn't.
But I mean, it's not gonna change between now and
That's okay. I mean, you just have that.
yeah.
So how many?
So make sure you write them down, and one of you guys is going to tell me.
Stucco box, 2-story stucco box. Kind of like a or
hard time talking.
That guy's 1 minute.
No, I have a letter show.
I only have like 3 so
All right, so
I just started upstairs.
you previewed 6 and I previewed 2.
Contacts, and you have
And
one.
it's the same ones that are.
Yeah. So thanks. And notes. You did it.
I did preview one house over the weekend.
That was the same 7.
Oh, not fresh, not the one that you have.
Oh, well, those are.
1.2 million, and it was built in 69. And
Yeah, no,
Oh.
well, I mean, I'm
And with
reading
all
on
repeat,
my
like some of the windows were
All right.
phone.
1.2 million.
Yeah.
And it had dropped, it was right by towards the bridge.
Okay.
So it's
It's
hard
not
to-
right, but I don't know.
So add yours into that and then we'll have.
Yeah, I mean, I just have 3 contacts.
Yeah, I had a little orange grove and a
No,
pool.
0.
You know, pool's just like the middle of my
Add.
ass.
I'm gonna have like 2.
Put notes and all of those. That's part of it there, so it's just.
Oh, preview, I will preview
I'll start to
15.
so just let them know that.
Far.
That's fine. One good contract.
This weekend, so 5.
Yes.
When do you expect them to?
Seven preview. So contact you.
Oh, I have,
I have all that. It's a 600-page answer. I didn't study it all. 4 days, 4 days, 3 days. I just read through these answers, I quiz myself on them, and then one, there are 7 quizzes.
actually, and now I've
And one
got
quiz
to
at a
do that
time
by
for 3
those
days.
7
Where does it come
rows.
from?
So now I
All right. You guys ready? Got your numbers?
So,
Yeah, I swear.
Whatever.
All right, guys.
Just, you have to do the same thing in 2 more days and 2 more days.
Team name.
what is that?
Team name? What is it?
No idea.
Okay, team no idea.
Freddy Krueger.
That's fine, we'll be ready for
Freddy Krueger.
I don't even know how to spell it.
Okay, everybody knows it.
How many contacts have you guys made since the last class?
So you've been ready, making contacts? I ran out of cards.
How many? 2. 2 contacts? How many connections?
What is the connection?
Connections with people in previously in your database or that you know.
No.
No notes.
Notes?
No notes.
No notes? How many homes have you guys previewed?
I saw like different kinds, like different models.
2? All right. Team 2.
Cool gang.
What is it?
Cool gang.
Cool gang. With a K or with a C?
And with a K.
I would have said Kerwin, but that's.
No.
All right. How many contacts have you guys made since last class?
What she did the most, 43.
Well, no, I mean, new ones, I would say, new ones were 7. 40 some is what I was
Yeah.
working on before.
So 7. 7 since the last class. Connections. Connections.
Same thing for me. I met them in person.
10.
Yeah.
Team
For me.
interview too.
Okay. Notes.
You have that.
Yeah, I sent some cards out.
Homes previewed.
23.
23. Good. Last team. What's the last team's name?
You're not the last team. That's not what I knew.
Team grade.
Almost newbies.
Almost newbies.
Uh-huh.
Is that your name? With a K?
Sounds good.
Obviously with a kid.
No smoothies.
So, I'm gonna start with connections, if that's okay.
Yep.
All right, connections is 22.
Okay.
Those 2. Homes 8. And then I guess that leaves this last number is 1.
Context. Okay. All right, guys, not doing as good as we should be, right? But you know why do you know why we track numbers?
Hold us
Accountability.
all accountable.
Accountability to what?
Ourselves.
To yourselves and to action, right? To the things work you're actually doing. Right? It's very easy, and the reason why these numbers are so important, guys, is especially when you're first starting or getting back into it. These are high dollar productive activities. The homes is more skill, but these are high dollar productive activities, meaning this is a people business. It's a relationship business, right? What does that mean? It means that people work with people they like, they trust, and they remember, right? So a lot of people get really enthralled with, designing a postcard or designing a business card or a Facebook post or, all these things. I'm not saying Facebook posts are great, right? I do them all the time. But ultimately, these are things that are getting you on one-to-one connections with people, reminding people that you're there. Sometimes people want to refer you business, they just forget about you. You gotta remember, we're not as important to people as we think we are.
Yeah.
We're much more important to
We're
ourselves.
not top of mind.
No, we're not top of mind at all. All the time people hear stuff about real estate and they're not thinking about it, but if they just had a conversation with you the other day and they hear real estate, what do they think? Oh, Holly, yeah. My friend, she's a phenomenal agent, right? So that's why these things are super important. I would say these are probably some of the most important things you can do if you're looking to build your business, right, for long term. Database. Was that one that you guys do that with Dave Hastings, right? So database is your business. It's your book of business. Probably nothing more valuable than having a good database. So you're building a good database through your contacts, you're touching the database through connections and notes. Why do we do notes? So they remember you?
Personal touch.
Personal touch?
Set ourselves apart.
Set yourselves apart. Absolutely. How many people do you think do handwritten notes?
Not very good.
Not very many. Very few people. Why?
Too much hassle.
Yeah, it's lazy. It takes time.
It does take time, it's hours.
What'd you say?
They haven't figured out the right font yet.
They haven't figured out the right. That's right. They're thinking about what. Yeah, they're thinking about all the things that they could do, right? Trying to make it perfect rather than just doing it, just doing the action. One of my favorite stories about this is there's a book called Persuasion by Robert Cialdini, and this guy is he's a psychological guy, very brilliant guy. And he talks about the principle of liking, which is people are more likely to do business and say yes to people that like them, right? And so he talked about this one example as a car salesman. Do you think car salesmen sell a lot of cars usually? I mean, sell a decent amount, but how many cars do you think an average car salesman sells?
2-3 a week.
2-3 a week.
So the dealer, right?
Yeah, through the dealer, so maybe 100 to 150 a year. That's pretty good probably for like a good salesman. The other ones probably just go to the wayside and quit. Now this guy, I think he was selling like in the thousands a year. Yeah. And one of the things he did was probably one of the biggest credits to his success. First of all, he kept a database of all his past clients. It's a car salesperson. How many car salespeople do you think actually keep a database? Very few. Would you say car sales is a relationship business? I mean, what you think of it as a relationship business?
Yes.
Yeah. It can be, right? A lot of people, they don't really work, they don't really have like the car person they go to. Sometimes they do. Great car salesman develops that relationship. But he did handwritten notes to every single one of his clients past clients every month. You know what it said? You know what it literally said? I think he said he wrote the same thing every single time. This is what it said. Can you guys read that? That I like you. That's all it said.
Did he sign it?
Yeah, I like you. Bo, Bob, I like you. Betsy, I like you. Jonathan. So, talk soon, Jonathan. So he did that every single month, and so part of that, they said it was the principle of liking the fact that people like people who like them. But the other thing is, I think it actually kept them top of mind, and they're like, something, it seems kind of corny. Wouldn't you agree? Would you think that that would work as a car salesperson? Probably not. You're like, that's so tacky. Like, is that really going to work? But it worked. Just sending those stupid handwritten cards every single month to people, his database. And so when it happened, he built up such a good referral base that people would just come in, buy a car, leave. And he actually had to hire an assistant, I think, to help with the cards. How many car salespeople do you know who have assistants? This guy was like a legend in the car sales industry. And I think a lot of car salespeople don't build the database and they don't build the relationships because they're used to what a lot of agents, when they get a business, want. They're just used to leads coming in, right, into the lot, and then hopefully they close them and that's it. So they're used to a constant flow of leads. Now, as a real estate agent, do you have a constant flow of leads? Or you have to go out there and garner them? So even more important, right? Well, what he did is he supercharged this because he said, look, that's not even the best type of business, right? Because you might close, how many people are you going to close on this, right? Not that many. I don't know what the typical closing rate is. Let's just say 25%, probably pretty good. And you got to wait the rotation. They have like the 5 guys sitting at the table, and they're all hoping. So if he did in cars, how much more should you do in real estate? So handwritten cards seems pointless, seems stupid, maybe. Super powerful. And how powerful would it be just to say, Betsy, would you like getting something? Hey, Betsy, just want to let you know I was thinking of you. Sign your agent. Hey, Betsy, just want to let you know how much I appreciate you. Sign your agent. Hey, Betsy, have I ever thanked you for your continued support for our business? If not, here's a thanks. Your agent.
You put a card in,
Yeah, why not?
the ones I sent out, I was doing that, thank you for supporting me.
Yeah.
But like for the, I like you.
Yeah, why not? I mean, you don't have to just say I like you. You can just say I think
but
you're great.
The simple message.
Yeah, simple message. Why not? Because it's very powerful. One of the other teachers that's going to come down the road, Lee Tisdale, very great with relationships. She very much develops those relationships with people. So super good. But anyways, guys, the point is we got to get these numbers better. If you want to be successful, I should say, if you're committed to being successful, you'll commit to the numbers. A lot of people are interested in being successful, but they're not committed to being successful. They're interested in being a great agent. They're interested in being a top agent. They're interested in being a top producer. I'm interested in the money that it would bring, but they're not committed to it. Because commitment means that you're actually going to push through the hard work. All right? Team Newbies was probably, it was close. It's between the newbies and the, what was the other team? Cool gang, that's right. All right. Does that make sense?
You write a note saying, cool gang. That's it.
They go word. They'd probably be like, why is this guy sending this card to me? It says cool gang. Awesome. All right, so there's daily 10-4. Now we're going to take 20 minutes, 15 minutes actually, and we're going to lead generate. You guys know what lead generating is? Calling people, you guys all have your list? You guys have a phone? Phone has a list, it's very easy. Right? You guys nervous about what to say?
I've already done mine for this.
Well, maybe shoot us some texts. Some follow-up
Maybe we
texts,
should just listen to you.
right? If you're ever nervous about what to say, well, let's have a competition today, guys. Let's see who can make the most contact.
Actually, I have to say that the calling for me hasn't worked as well as texting,
As what?
frankly. I don't know that I, before this, called anyone ever. That's all how I communicate with everyone. So for them to get a call from me is really weird. I get a lot of voicemails.
Yeah, you probably get a lot of voicemails. Voicemails can still be effective, right?
I didn't get any callbacks from those, but I did get responses on every text.
Yeah, and sometimes text is.
So that's where I'm leaning.
You know, here's the thing: is you can call, and then instead of leaving a voicemail, you can also just shoot a text over. Hey, Julie, it's Holly. Just wanted to connect with you.
Tried to call.
Hope all is well. Please, call me when you get the chance.
Just,
right.
I mean, just being honest about it from what I've done thus far with that.
Yep.
Way better response with texting.
Yep.
They're sharing addresses, that's how I'm figuring out where to send and what to send and who to send.
Yeah. And here's the thing: is right. Even with your database, as you do the work, you start tracking the numbers and you start seeing things like that. That's not going to hold true for everybody.
I found out how out of date my address was. Oh my God, you're not on there anymore.
Yeah.
Where the hell do you live now? I'm gonna send you a card.
Absolutely. And here's the thing: is not every single contact has to be asking for business. Like I know that's like
Yeah.
anathema.
Well, one I found out had quite a few health problems, and I didn't send her that type of card. I just sent her a get well card.
Yeah.
No business cards, and it just, I looked at that.
Totally. Absolutely. When people feel cared for, they're gonna go to bat for you. We can just say number of connections or number of contacts. How about we just go for referrals? So what's a good script we can use for that? Is there a book, do they have it in the book about the competition?
No, what they have. New to real estate, new to the area.
New to real estate, new to the area. Hey, I'm in a class today and we're actually having a competition to see who can get the most number of referrals. And this is gonna be a short, quick call. I'm actually in a class today, we're actually having a competition to see who can get the most amount of referrals. So I was just curious, who do you know that may be thinking about buying a house, selling a house this year? Oh, I don't know anybody. Hey, great. Thank you for thinking of that. By the way, who do you know that may know somebody? Right? That's it. That's it. And if they say nobody, the fact that you're in a class and you're having a competition gives you the perfect reason to ask for a referral. Basically, I would never do this normally if you guys feel uncomfortable with that. But we're just trying to see who can get the most number of referrals. Sound good? I know each of you can make at least 3 calls on this time. Maybe a close friend.
So I've been holding off on making calls until I get my license, but.
You just can't speak of any. When are you supposed to get your, did you already pass the test?
No, I'm waiting for the test.
Okay, so.
So sometime between now and March.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean,
I'm gonna do it, I've been holding off, but I'm gonna do a Facebook post out, so at least everyone knows what I'm working on. And tell them to sandbag for a few months instead of planning on buying your time.
yeah, you just tell them that you're excited about getting into real estate and,
Keep me in mind.
yeah.
And there's definitely a few people that I can call and just let them know that this is the direction I'm going. Just keep me in mind.
Yeah. And just say, hey, by the way, you know, I'm looking to fill up the business and people I could serve once I get the license. Who do you know?
So keep me in mind. And
Yeah.
start thinking about it.
Yeah, who do you know? Right. Sound good? All right, 15 minutes, guys. If it's pushing past your comfort zone, that means this is what actually you need to do to be successful. Comfort is the enemy of progress.
Yeah.
Did you find all those videos and everything? Because I just typed it in. I'm trying to search it.
Got it. Trace my steps.
Hey Cliff, Dave Baumgartner, just checking in, see how you guys are all doing out there. Make sure Eric doesn't ruin your business yet. Kind of let you know what's going on with me. Give me a ring when you get a chance. Let's catch up. 619-517-0420.
Normally it's what's on the phone. It's been a while since we talked.
I was just trying to touch base with you. I'm in the class. I'm supposed to be. So,
When you get a minute, let's talk. 619.
just give me a call. You're waiting for your license.
I'm waiting for my test date.
Yeah, you go to
Yeah, I
this.
finished the classes a couple weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
And that's the application.
Okay. Well, that's good.
Well, it'll be better when I pass the test.
Yeah, because I have a friend, she's also waiting for it. She sent it like on the 21st of December, and she hasn't heard me.
Mary, I talked to Mary, and she told me that because it's the end of the year, beginning of the
So
year,
that's why they're
they're usually 6 to 8 weeks
6 to 8 weeks for the test.
to schedule a test date, yeah.
So when did you submit it?
A week and a half ago?
Oh, I see, okay.
Or, oh my gosh, no, just a week ago. So it'll be a while, but I figured I'd take this course workshop and
Sure.
get myself up and running.
Right, that's good.
You think
You're ready to go.
Yeah, let's hit the ground running when I can.
Yeah, that's
Hey,
good.
how you doing? Hey, you sleeping? Freddie. Hey, how you doing? How's everything? Oh, good. Just want to know, did you download my apps? Great. It's good. Did you play with it a little bit? Okay. I'll show you some stuff on it in the job. You can look at some properties, okay? All right, so. Yeah, thank you. Send me your email address. All right. Thanks. I'll see you tomorrow then. All right, bye-bye. Hello?
Hey, Freddie, yes, you're on.
Hi. Very good.
But the reason why I'm going to, because,
Perfect practice.
Perfect practice. I think it's better to do like that. You want to try?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, we're calling each other?
Yeah.
Let me try.
Hello.
How are you doing? Hello. This is Freddie.
Oh,
Do you have-
Freddie.
Hi, do you have a moment?
Yes,
I'd like to share some exciting news with you. Usually, I'm the one helping people make a move. This time, I'm the one who moved. I'm moving my real estate business over to Keller Williams Realty. Just because my company name has changed, the level of service I offer to clients hasn't. My clients will continue to get all my enthusiasm and hard work. And as you already know,
I'll do whatever it takes to help people. Mack counted on you to help me grow my business.
Everyone's cracking up.
Sure.
Well, thank you. Why don't you send me your email address? It's Mack. Get you on my
My,
email.
do you need my phone number as well? All right. There you go.
Thank you.
All right, you're welcome.
That's good practice.
Yeah, good. Thanks for joining us this morning. I think you could probably help me when.
Jay, it's Dave Bombard. Long time no speak. Just wanted to check in with you. You usually reach out to me, so I had to great stuff this time. You know, when you get a chance, wanted to let you know what I'm getting up to these days. Catch up with you again. 619-517-0420. Talk soon.
Hi, how are you? I'm great, thanks. Did I catch you at a time where you can talk for a minute?
What's that? Nice guy.
Good, I
You
was just.
get smiling and you're confident, almost you can tell.
Oh,
Yeah.
So I
Tell me how you are.
years ago, so when I first moved out here, I got a job doing the marketing for a 403. And I left that job. And I went over to an insurance brokerage house, just pounding
But you're
insurance all day.
you're enjoying
every day,
your new
over and
house.
over and over again. We used to strip. Probably still drag that strip out.
I used to work for a senator, like going door to door, and then half the week
Oh,
we'd
when
call.
did you get that?
In the winter time too, in the East Coast. I did that for 2 years.
Oh, okay, I didn't realize.
Trying to look
that.
as cool as I could, get my way in.
Look, is this maybe on the, yeah, I guess I haven't looked to see that. And that's working for you, it's doing what it's supposed to. Oh, well, have you gone online? You said if you found online where you can review that?
I was going through my contacts the other day, so it was the first class where I come to contacts you. Both
Right.
parties.
I just
I
switched
know,
to
yeah,
AT&T.
it takes a little bit
And if you look at my
of
contacts,
studying to really understand.
it's like, there's these ice contacts on top of it.
And then when I take the time to concentrate on it, it makes more sense. Yes, I did. I moved to Keller Williams, Carmen Mountain, and I really love it there. It's great. So that's one of the reasons why I'm calling you too. We're having a contest because I'm in class. And we're calling to see how many contacts we can. Do you know anybody who's thinking of moving, buying or selling? Oh, okay. Well, good for her.
Got it? Got any?
Well, if you
Yeah, I
wouldn't
go
mind,
3-4 days
just
without
like,
talking to an adult.
if you hear things like that,
It is, hang out with my son, that's it. It's hard for me to tell you, leave the call doctor, other things, college teacher. But I'm doing a multicultural fair at his school, that's what I figured.
Oh, I
That's gonna be
see.
my biggest lead, the generation.
if I can
But
help
that's not
you
today.
understand
Not really
your
starting
how
today.
solar doing, I'd be happy to do that too.
I joined the board there that does all
Right, boy.
the activities.
You take care.
Right, right.
All right, guys, 5 minutes. 5-minute warning.
We'll be in, and then with some wording, and we'll be in.
Well, you
I'm
react
pretty
to
sure
your-
doing the exact same thing that he was doing the first time. But I'm gonna talk because, my dog, screwed up my neck back in July. And, oh yeah.
You're a good friend of mine. That's just had your dog to go.
He, yanked me. Yes. Press this, bulging out my nerves. So I was resting.
That's no joke.
Not as bad as the first time, because I'm here, but you know,
I had a similar thing when I was my lower back. I was in the hospital for a little while. Set me up. I'd like to start on 5 mistakes or whatever.
That's my cover body for you.
Hi, Jim. It's
Just
Ashley.
wanted to say that it's been a while since you've spoken. Mistake.
How are you? How's it going? I'm doing really great. Do you have a moment to talk? Oh, how fun. Are you in England right now? Okay, good. Well, that's awesome. I'm so glad to hear that you're excited about that statement that might be coming in town here. I know. Well, doing really well. I actually just wanted to let you know that I became a real estate agent with Keller Williams. Definitely. I mean, I can set up a time to meet with you for lunch if you wanted, or just even have a coffee and we can like meet friends in person. Perfect. So I'll just stop by and catch you there.
That's my cover. Do you remember me? How are you?
Yes. No, right here, Sabre Springs, right next to the general office.
Oh, I caught you at work.
I'm so close.
You do? Well, I was going to ask you because I didn't find any property address for you. So what are
Very
you
close.
doing
It's close to
exactly
the
now?
56.
Not yet.
Well, thanks, I appreciate that. So, I'll try to look at the schedule and see when you're coming in next. I'll leave those cards for you, and then if you have a coffee or anything, I'm more than happy to just put a lunch in.
Oh, yikes. Ah,
Yes, I'm able to work all over San Diego, all over in California, actually. So it's
I'm fine when I coming back to what you
and then
just said.
actually, if there are meetings out of state or anything, I've got plenty of you enjoy doing, especially with the ability to such a large network of resources. I'd be excited. Yes, it definitely is. So let your friends know if they need anything.
start
I
writing cards.
appreciate that.
Well, I will see you when you come into the office at some point, and then we'll catch up then. You too, have a great day, enjoy that soccer. Bye.
Congratulations.
He was gonna start on cards.
So did you sell your house in Vermont?
Handwritten cards. You guys have handwritten cards?
Sorry? What do you think about this for Facebook post?
Fine for everybody. And
Good, good. Thank you.
oh, SIPs, oh, SIPs, oh, yeah, right, okay. And
By the end of February, I'd love to sit down with you. Sure. Please keep me in mind, and I'll update everyone as soon as I'm ready to go.
Oh,
I'd ask people to your business.
do I know you or I just have to do it? Oh,
You Sacramento.
I know you just hear one.
How's it going?
All right, great. Have you heard that it's ending?
Anybody want a card? Anybody that you connected with, you can also send them a
Well,
card.
just joined,
Hey, it's great connecting with you.
Thank you. Yeah. So, do you have a minute? Yeah, so basically,
Thank you. I just ordered a new stack of cards too.
Yes, Amazon's a great place.
Love it.
FYI.
Thank you. So anyway,
Yes, now,
so you
so.
were saying, Erwin?
yeah, so
3 minutes to finish up cards.
buying, selling, or investing in real estate.
It's great meeting you.
Yeah, because currently the real estate market. You know that?
I have no idea, I've been so busy.
No.
with work, I didn't think about it.
So you do that, and your neighborhood, there's 10 homes that have been sold within.
I used to like it.
Oh my God,
I
what
used to
are they selling for?
They're selling on the average
Like
around
some of the things that
600,000.
I can't shut off the
Wow,
camera.
Yeah.
only go 300 on mine.
I had a Sony for this guy.
So, when do you think you may want to do?
Oh, check it
Wow,
out.
now that I know that.
No way to
I'll
do it.
have to talk to hubby
Because
if
here,
he can come by and rent us.
There's absolutely
Great,
nothing.
so why don't we just set up a time together, and then would Tuesday or 15 be good for you, or Wednesday?
Either evening, sure, let's do Wednesday.
Wednesday,
Or,
and those are your hubby's day.
yeah, I'll make sure Dan's
Okay.
there too, yeah.
Great. So, thank
Thanks,
you again.
Erwin, I appreciate
I'm really
the call.
spoiled.
Appreciate it.
I'll see you then.
Thank you, see you then.
Today's January.
Your turn.
That
I haven't
was good.
told him off.
Well, I'm trying to.
Yeah, right.
I think it's easier if I do face to face compared to just calling.
Yeah, phones are a tough one.
Yeah.
I'm sure, yeah, there's plenty.
Whoever you wanted to send a handwritten. Sorry, say mine.
But you've done that. It's a lot of writing. What
It's
you
a lot
say.
of writing, yeah. We're just saying basic.
My writing's not that great.
Too bad. That's what I would say if I were teaching.
Yeah. I think it's
And
a
me
lot.
too, you know, like I have to focus on it because you're right, it's same thing.
Something I want to
Uh-huh. Oh, really?
You don't want to mess up your card stuff.
Oh, okay.
Just go see
personal. Okay.
Thanks for taking the time to talk to me.
Okay. Yeah. You can ask Jesse if you get a service for that, but I don't know how much.
Yeah, no, I do it.
You just do it yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, at the beginning, you want to do it yourself.
Because what I did is I wrote one and then I took a picture of it. So I would, because when I got one that I liked, I took a picture of it.
We
And
have to register for the team meeting still?
Oh,
Is that new?
yeah, that's a good idea.
I didn't even see that. I didn't know that.
I got an email asking to register.
I guess so.
Changed it up personalized it.
Yeah, yeah.
They didn't do it before though, right?
P.S. Looking forward to seeing you at sushi.
Oh,
All right. You guys ready? Yay, nay,
well,
yay?
I'll talk to you about.
I made 3 outreaches.
Come on.
People that I had, there are more in my B's, but
It's great to talk to you, Doc.
I reached out to all the A's already.
All the A's. So who got a good number of contacts? Any contacts? Left a couple messages.
I got 2.
Betsy got 2. Some good conversations too. Look like, right?
No, I already got a reply.
Okay. Who else got? Anybody beat 2? Anybody else get 2? Anybody get 1?
I made 3, got 1 so far.
Got 1? Another 1. Awesome.
Seriously, super important to do, to stay in contact with the database. Any referrals? No?
Well, I got one the other day when I pressed a friend at the gym.
Awesome.
Hopefully that counts.
I got one this morning.
Great.
I think it's the learning to ask for that instead of just announcing that I did all that. And everyone's like, yay, good for you, but now I gotta take the step to ask,
Yep.
Go the extra step.
Yeah, does anybody get nervous about asking for referrals?
Yes.
Raise your hand. Why do you get nervous about asking for a referral?
I'd rather do anything but do that. I talk about anything, and I just hate that last part.
About asking for a referral? Why do you think that is?
Because I don't want them to think that's,
All you're calling them for?
yeah.
Absolutely. That's true, right? Because I mean, that's a lot of us. We don't want to be that, like what we think of, right? But a lot of times when people know you're in the business, they kind of expect that that's how the business is run, right? So, that's why sometimes it matters. That's why language matters and scripting can really be helpful, right? Coming up with a script that is more helpful. Just out of curiosity, what sounds better to you if I ask you for an introduction or for a referral? What sounds easier for you guys? So maybe you can ask for an introduction. Hey, you just say, hey, and I really appreciated connecting with you, Betsy. This call, and as you know, I'm in real estate. That's not why I'm calling you, but we're always looking to meet new people. So I was just curious to know if you knew anybody that maybe you'd like to introduce me to. Maybe you change it to that.
That's a little softer.
A little softer.
My feeling.
Yeah. And if they say no, say, great, thank you. I just, because we love, nothing brings me greater joy in this business than working with people I like. And I know that, if I could work with more people just like you, that's going to make my world so much greater. Right? Something, it's soft, right? But it's true. Because when you work with people that you like, me personally, maybe some people don't like to work with people they like. I like to work with people I like. It makes the business way more fun. And so just changing that phrasing around, one of the things, one of our goals is really to help, for more people. And, the truth is we really love working with people we like. So I figured who better to ask than you, because I'm sure, you're just like me. Sound good? Or you can call with another need. Hey, this kind of out of left field, but we do help buyers who are looking in the area. So just curious if you know anybody. The inventory is really low. So who do you know that maybe I can talk to who maybe think about selling, to help put a connection for my buyer? Awesome. Thank you so much for thinking about that. Right? Because if you give a reason for asking, it sounds much better. Does that make sense? Yes, Candace?
I know I'm gonna run into this problem, and I just did right now when I was on this guy. People are so used to seeing me at that office for like over 8 years. My dad owns it.
Yep.
They expect me just to pop in because I just love it so much. How do I like get them to not understand that I don't want to be at that office? I'm doing my own thing. Like I pushed two different times to try to have coffee or lunch with him, and he kind of pulled it off. He was like, "Oh, I will be in there next week," and it's like, cool. So how do I like make it clear to them that you won't see me in there? Just say it.
Yeah, I mean, just say it. I mean, say it in a nice way.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that. Like, did you hear that? Did you tell them that you're in real estate now? You're not doing the dental thing?
You know,
Like, yeah, some people blow you off. They blow you off, and that's okay.
but he just wants like to pass my name on to his friend. That's really all it is. But then that means I have to still meet him where he's at to try to keep that connection.
Yeah, meet him or talk, just chat with him and see how he's doing. And you know, also training people to give you referrals is also another good thing to learn. Well, most people pass.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I can always just say, because I'm launching my own real estate business or whatever, I'm not going to be spending nearly as much time at the office, so I'd love to get together with you. And that way it's not anything negative about, I don't feel like going to that office anymore.
That's true.
Yeah, just like I'm really not going to be in there that that
Spend
much.
time there anymore. I still love to get together.
Thank you.
Yeah, just chat over coffee, right? It doesn't have to be difficult. I think sometimes we make it like really difficult, right, in our head. We're understanding, what's a nice reason, a legitimate reason that I want to be there. So training people to give you referrals is also another important thing to do, right? Because what happens most of the time is people give somebody your card, say if they have your cards, they give somebody your card, and the person who gets your card, they have the best intentions of calling you. What do you think happens 9 times out of 10? They lose it, right? Or they walk through an open house, and at a weak moment, they work with a weak agent. Right. So what I found the best way to do is just, if you would just, if you know somebody and you talk to them about me and they say it would be great, to say, hey, do you mind if I just shoot you a quick introduction? Maybe to put you in contact. And look, you know me, I'm not going to spam them, I'm not doing anything crazy, just, that introduction is always super appreciated because I know more often than not when somebody just gets a car, even if they have the best intentions, at a weak moment they go with a weak agent and then they really regret it down the road. Make sense? And that's true. Like that is really legitimately true. Is that good? All right, guys, getting your head in the game. So where are we in the selling process today? We're talking about win the seller. We're talking about the listing presentation, pre-listing packet, so on and so forth. So if you guys go to your page 11 in your manual, you will see where we are at. We go from leads to appointments, to agreements, to contracts, obviously to close, which is your payday. So this is the part, we've talked about capturing contacts, connecting with them, and then of course by closing them in a sense by asking them for business referral for an appointment. And so now we're here, we've cultivated that relationship, and now we're at the point where we're going to be meeting with them. So you don't have to do a pre-listing package, but the pre-listing packet and listing presentation are kind of a 1-2 punch that will provide the sellers with the information they need about the selling process, and of course how your services are actually going to benefit them. Right? If you just go in there blind, you can go in there blind, that's great, but if you bring in the pre-list packet and then you do a pre-list listing presentation, they're going to feel a little bit more informed. When you do that, the two complement each other and set you up for what we call a win-win listing presentation that leads ultimately to a signed agreement and of course actually selling the property. So John Davis, CEO, Keller Williams says, Ignite teaches you the activities that are proven to generate results, and by focusing on those activities, your success will grow and expand. All right, so our focus on listings, page 12. So focusing on listings, why do people focus on listings?
Get buyers off that too.
Yeah, you can get buyers off it, right? Listings bring buyers.
Listings pay better.
They oftentimes can pay better, not always, depending on
Better management.
Yeah, definitely better management of time, absolutely.
They're usually a
100%.
guaranteed commission.
Hmm?
They're usually a guaranteed commission.
Well, if you price the property right, market it well, and negotiate it to close, it can be, then it's more predictable, I should say. A lot of people will take overpriced listings, not market the house, and it will sit, and there's a reason why a lot of homes still actually expire, right?
Does that still happen?
Oh my gosh, all the time, yeah. You'd be surprised. You think in a seller's market, it's hot as today. This is a great thing you can actually tell the sellers, is you can actually explain to them. If you actually have a stat of how many homes have expired in the area, so you can talk about how many homes are on the market, and we'll go over this, right? Number on the market, active. Some might do active plus pending. Number of pending. Number of sold last month. Number of expired. And we'll talk about this a little bit further on, but can you see how that would actually give you a quick snapshot? Number of expireds. Sold, number of sold. Number of pending, number of active and pending on the market. Right, because let's just say there's 100 homes on the market, 25 are pending, and 10 sold last month, and 2 expired. What sort of conversation can I have with the seller around that?
Why they expired.
Yeah, I can talk about why they expired. Right, which is, I could say this is why it's important to work with a professional who's going to get you from year to year. As you can see, we have 100 homes currently active and pending on the market, only 25 of which are actually actively pending. So about 25% currently are going into the pending status. So that means that they actually got a signed agreement, and now they're in the escrow process. But as you can see, we only had 10 closed last month, which means that less than half of those even make it to the closing table, approximately. So we have the two-step process of going from putting your house on, it's not just about listing your house, but it's actually getting it sold. And in that process, we got to get it into escrow, work it and navigate it through escrow and sell. Otherwise, we could end up like these people who actually had their house probably sell their market for 180 days, even a year sometimes, just sitting there month after month, week after week, cleaning up their house, all that pain, all that hassle. That's why it's important to work with a professional like me, who has a systematic approach to marketing your house to get you from listing your house on the market into escrow, navigating through it, and actually selling. Right? Because right here, I'm seeing only about, these are fake numbers, right? 10% are actually getting to the closing table. And this isn't a hot market like we have today. We're hearing that everything is selling, but the truth is, we're still having markets sit and sit and sit. Make sense? So that's why you might these numbers can be helpful, right? Because you can tell a story with it that's relevant to the seller. Because a lot of sellers think, well, if I just put my house on the market, it's going to sell, right? And there's another reason why that's important, because now you're actually letting them know that not every house that goes on the market is going to sell. So when that other agent, subconsciously, when that other agent told them that their house is worth $500,000, and yet your market analysis shows that there's no way it's worth more than $425,000. Right now, you can go back to this and say, well, do you remember what we talked about how many homes are on the market? How long they sit? Is your goal to actually sell your house, or is it just to list it? Okay, that's interesting. Perfect. I'm glad you said that, because I hate to say it. In my experience, there are a lot of agents out there that will take an overpriced listing simply so they can actually pick up the buyers that call in off of that sign. Maybe they're short on money. Maybe they got to pay a car bill. Maybe they got to pay a mortgage. So they want to sell a house, they just don't really care about the selling years. And so they'll pick up buyers, pick up buyers, pick up buyers, all the while you're just stuck having to prepare a house time after time after time after time while your house sits on the market. Is that what you want? No. Great. So that's why we need to go with this pricing strategy and this marketing strategy to ensure that your house sells quickly in the least amount of time so that it's less hassle for you. Does that sound like something you want to do, Candace? Cool. Okay, makes sense? You see how that's useful? Do you think agents actually do put their sign in the yard just to pick up buyers? They totally do. So they don't care if they have an overpriced listing that just sits, because to them it's marketing. Free marketing for them. People drive by, they see the sign. Just saying. Right. Cool. All right.
So a lot of them probably want more than it's worth then, right? I mean, yeah, how do you, what is
Sellers?
deal with that, yeah.
Who doesn't want more than their house is worth?
Right, so how do you get them down?
How do you get them down? Well, why do you gotta get them
That was a
down?
good example. Give me more with that.
In terms of what?
Getting them back to reality.
Yeah, I mean, so that's a big game. We're gonna go through this in the listing presentation, but that's why you might do a comparative market analysis, right? What currently has sold and what's currently going on. Another thing I like to do is actually look at active homes too, because that's gonna make a difference. Because when your house goes on the market, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, you do realize that you are going to be in a beauty competition, right? What I like to liken it to, Eric, is if we are in a fight. Are you familiar at all with boxing or wrestling? You know that? Have you heard of weight classes?
Yes.
Right. What happens when a boxer fights in a weight class, maybe one or two above his weight class?
Well, that's not really good.
It depends on who he is, but more often than not, he's going to be at a severe disadvantage. Right. You never want to do that. In fact, you want to be the heavyweight fighting in the lower weight class. So very similar. We talk about houses, very similar to that. You never want to be priced in a price range that's going to put you in a class that you're competing against people who, you know, the houses that are much nicer, bigger, so on and so forth. If you're the 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house, 1,400 square foot, like we have here, Eric, this is your house, and you're going up and they're looking at your house, and then they're looking at homes that are in your same neighborhood but are 4-bedroom, 3-bath, and 1,800 square feet. Assuming that all the finishes are the same, which house would you choose? Yeah, of course the big one, the one bigger, that has the same finishes, right? So you might bring to the active listings, this is our competition. Because you understand when we enter the market, we're entering a competition, right? So you just kind of get them in that mindset, and that's where you bring the comparative market analysis. Sometimes you just have to ask questions to them, right? Because asking questions rather than telling is better. And you go back to their core driving emotion. What is it that's driving them to sell this house? Yeah. Sometimes another good phrase I like to say is like, hey, if they're like getting upset or ornery about it, just say, hey, like don't shoot the messenger. I'm just delivering the message that the market's telling you. I wish I could make the market say your house is worth this much. I'd get paid more. I want your house to be as worth as much as humanly possible. And that's my goal, and that's my intention, is to get you the most amount of money possible given the current market. But the market changes every day, which is also why I will be watching it every single day, so we know what your house will sell for and how to actively and aggressively price it so that you actually get the most amount of money, right? You also talk about pricing as a pricing strategy, right? And your list price does not determine necessarily your sales price. Your list price is not exactly the same. I've seen homes that are priced at, $1 million sell for 1.1. I've seen homes that are priced at $1 million that sell for $875,000.
Do you ever recommend improvements to them?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Most homes, that good phrase, hey, as you can see, you live in this home right now. Now, one of the things as we enter the market, I'm sure that you understand there's one way that you live in a home, there's another way that you sell a house, right? Because when a buyer comes through here, they're not going to see, all the memories that you have with little Johnny playing t-ball in the backyard. That too, that's your home. They're not going to see all the times you had your Thanksgiving, dinner here at the table with all your family's and relatives. They're not going to see that. What they're going to come through, and this is what they're going to see. They're going to see a 4-bedroom house with 3 bathrooms that's 1,800 square feet. It has a 0.25 acre yard. And they're going to be comparing against all the other ones. So our goal is to make that 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom house with 1,800 square feet look as good as possible, so that in their mind it has the best value. Does that make sense, Eric? Oh, there you go. Make sense? And that's legitimately true, right? As a seller, you're trying to take them out of the fact that this is their home and this is a house. So be careful with your language too. Don't say we're going to sell your home. We're going to sell your house. We're going to sell this property, right? Because people are emotionally attached to their home. All right, listings bring with the buyers. Listings provide more exposure. You can advertise your listings right, and of course, they're also time leveraged. So that was about the timing, right? Listings can be much more predictable in terms of the time they take, right? I like to think that their time, for me, 90% of the time with the listing is done up front prior to the house even going on the market. And then once it goes to market, then it's managing the escrow, and that's very predictable, 90% of the time, especially if you do your homework correctly. All right, we're going to watch a video. Go look for listings. All right.
Hi, my name is Gene Rivers, and I'm here today to tell you how to develop your listing skills to a very high level. And after you've done that, you'll be able to go in and take over market share. Number one, the best source for listing leads is from your Sphere and Test client list. The fact is, the people you know the people that are going to be moving, whether it's at church, school, work, friends, relatives. Focus on making sure they understand you're in the listing business. Create a pre-listing package that you would give every seller, but rename it your guide to selling homes successfully in your market. And then give that to people in your database that you know have influence, that have collateral materials that they can give to their friends and refer you. Step two, focus on an area, product, or price range. When you develop mastery of a product or an area, you will much more quickly succeed in those areas. And in that area or in that product or price range, focus on the FSBOs in that area, the expireds in that area, door knock in that area, geographic farm in that area. And I'm talking a fairly tight area so that the people in that area will really, really identify with you as someone who can help them sell property for top dollar with low hassle in a short amount of time. Now we're at number three. Everyone today that's looking at hiring an agent, whether it's a referral, even a past client, or a stranger who's got your name somehow, they're going to check you out on the web. So you need to make sure that your website is competent, that you've got basic, powerful content in there, and specifically that on the landing page, the very opening page, there is a direct offering to a seller. Find out what your home is worth, get a guide to selling your home. But if you don't do that, you're going to miss opportunities because people will get your name, check your website out, and go, I don't think so. I've seen a lot better sites. Fix your website with a database that you are working on a consistent basis. And with a tight focus, you build your reputation. If you're visible, you will find you will take over more and more listings, and in a very short amount of time, 12 to 24 months, you will own that market. That's how you take market share.
Any ahas? You guys never have any ahas. What's up with that? I know you guys gotta have something. What's something interesting that you guys saw in that video?
What you talked about the farming, like make it even smaller than probably what we're all thinking of a farm area is, just like street, really market too, and then
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think he's saying like, he was just mostly focusing on like his, sphere of influence, right? Just by focusing on his sphere, right? Because that's gonna always be your best lead source. It's your, like, literally that, like, that's why agents have been in this a long time and they have a good book of business. They just milk that book of business, like, and they just continue to add and add and add and add, right? But with like farming, so the thing with farming that's interesting is you got to look at, you want to be smart. If you ever go into that field, you want to be smart about it in the sense that you want to understand the metrics of that market. So let's just say in that area, let's just say you have a 3% turnover. Like, that's not great, but San Diego, we have low turnover here. Other parts of the country, you might have like 8–10% turnover. Like, that's fairly frequent. Here, a lot of times you have like literally 3–4% turnover. Now, the price range is usually better, but you're gonna have to do more. So imagine if you have 4% turnover in an area and you're only farming an area of 50 homes. That means, 2 homes a year, maybe.
You have to be willing to get some.
and you have to be the one that gets to them.
How many do you recommend starting out?
Well, usually with the farming, I usually tell people if you're gonna do farming, you have to be willing to invest 1 to 2 years worth of money into it. If you can't do that, don't even start.
How many addresses?
I would say it's better to, I mean, as many as you can, that you can do well. Right, with the money, right? Because part of that, and you have to understand that what the market is there, right? Because if you have like a 1% turnover in an area, you probably shouldn't touch that. If it's already got 1 or 2 really dominant people in there, like I'm not gonna go try to touch Stonebridge, right? Because Brian Hoffman owns Stonebridge, and the guy, he's been farming there for years, does an open house almost every single weekend of the year, has a science class over, and he's mailing it and dropping stuff like 3 to 4 times a month. I don't have the budget to break into that market and try to break into the market share of that.
How do you find percentage?
You can just, yeah, you just do, yeah.
Title apps, title reps here will give you their app, and you put it on your phone and just put in a, sorry.
Yeah, no, you can also look just on Sandicore. You can map an area and you can determine how many homes have sold in the past year or 2, over the past 3 years.
Almost like a CMA you created. Just check
Yeah, just how many there were.
fidelity,
Yeah.
personality.
I will tell you, a lot of people get enamored with farming because it seems easy, but like to do it really well, it's,
You gotta do it always.
you have to be very consistent and very good at it, and your marketing has to be phenomenal.
On the calendar.
What did you mean 2 years worth of work?
2 years worth of marketing budget. There's some people who won't see any return until 2 years because it just takes that long. We have low turnover here, and we have a lot of agents trying to do the farming method because frankly, it's probably the most comfortable. Do you know what I mean by that? By it's the most comfortable?
Anonymous, it's just
It's
mailing stuff out.
just
I'd
mails.
rather step out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, it
You
is.
don't consider like door-knock farming?
No. I do. Right, but see, if you really want to get great at farming, is you be doing the mailing, all that stuff with the door knocking. And then you really want to go out there, then you can circle prospect with calls. Because remember, like if you're face to if somebody needs to be face to face versus like a mailer,
I wanna learn about circle prospecting.
the only problem here is hard to get the numbers. Circle prospecting is really easy though.
Oh, I mean, I would call them, but how do you get the numbers? They're all unlisted.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to get a lot of listed
Like
numbers.
I know to log on to Cole,
Yeah.
and it's just out of 100 people, maybe 1 or 2 have a number that you can call without being.
Yeah.
In fact, someone called me and I yelled at him today, take me off your list. I'm just trying to get listings. Hey, are you selling your house?
I don't think so.
I did it at Staples.
I've never even heard of it.
She goes,
Does
do you
anyone
need
know,
anything
like,
else?
tell
Well,
me,
are you
see,
selling
just
your house?
get a bunch of war hangers and pay people for a day or 2 to go out and out.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah.
You're up here?
Oh, yeah. People drop stuff all the time.
I heard there were compliments of that too. You don't have to worry about the tonnage.
There's a lot of companies there's people that will door drop. But I mean, just you be okay with a couple people calling you and telling you to get your
I've had
trash off your door.
She
And
said, you realize you're trespassing? All in my face. And I'm like the wind if I'm gonna drop something,
Is that what Misha does? I love those calls. I really love
you
them.
might,
I'm like,
yeah.
well, I live here, so I'm. not
Hoffman door
I was
drops.
just at your door. I want to come back and talk about it.
God.
You're always gonna have people mad at you for doing anything. But that's
And
okay.
then another one that put a sign, do not leave realtor crap here. Okay, and I'm like, okay, then I'll just put it over
That's probably what I would have done. That is terrible. I would have bought one of those fake doggy poop things
there.
and put it in with a little sticker and it said realtor crap.
I didn't think about that. That would have been funny.
So like a friend of ours, an agent in another area, I said like sometimes if you can be creative with these people, sometimes they can have a little fun. If they don't, then what's
Well, the irony is she's got this great big welcome thing, like welcome. I do not leave your realtor crap. Okay.
So I remember somebody said like one of the agents we know said like this marketing you do is so trash because of it. Because of your marketing, like I'd be more likely to refer somebody who like an agent whose business card was plastered on the stall of Arby's. I guess that's what they said. So what she did is she took a picture of her card, posted on a thing in Arby's, and sent it to him and said, "Here you go. Like, here you go. Here's your, so I appreciate all your future referrals and all that other stuff." And then he actually responded back to her. He said, "Ha ha ha! That actually made my day. Like, I'll keep you in mind." Like he's like, "Yeah, you got me on that one." Not necessarily. Yeah, if somebody has a risk, I probably wouldn't drop anything there.
No, I'm
But-
like, forget about it. I probably wouldn't want to work with someone like that. Comes right down to it. If they're gonna do that.
The hard thing to learn too is picking your clients, right?
Oh, Lordy.
Oh man, in my business, it was always ones with like a real low budget that took up so much of the work. And then you just had to, especially teaching new salespeople that, you know, when they're hungry, they want to make all that money. And then they're just bringing all these problems to my table.
Isn't that interesting though?
Yeah.
Who was the biggest
cheapest
problems?
People, like,
The cheapest people.
Negotiating back and forth how much they're gonna pay. Those are ones who forget it, man. I'd rather spend
Interesting.
another $100 and get a new client.
Interesting, right?
Have you fired clients for that? I think Dave was saying he's let people go or.
I have fortunately not had to fire a client yet. Actually, yeah, we have fired a client, actually. We just didn't trust the guy. The guy was super sketch and regretted even talking in the first place. But in general, it wasn't something I got under contract with. It was a fire. And it was a weird situation. Nonetheless, but other than that, you know, we generally have a rule with people that we don't really work with people that we like and people that like for a listing that, you know, we can sell your house. If I don't like you and I don't think I can sell your house, I'm not gonna work with you. And I let them know that. Like, I won't work with you if I don't like you. Just so you know, like, this is our rule. Like, we only work with people we like. FYI. Yeah. Yeah.
Sets a tone.
Yeah. I mean, lets them know that, like, I don't have commission breath. People smell commission breath. And it is a bad, like, people don't want to work with people with commission breath. Right? Commission breath. Like, breath. Yeah. Like, people just sense, like, they're so desperate for a deal that they're so sketchy. Like, they'll do anything. And, like, I think about, like, a lot of business we do, a lot of it comes by referral. And the people that refer us and the people we work with, they know, like, 5 other realtors. And yet, for whatever reason, they chose us. Why is that? Yeah, trust. I think it comes down to trust, and I think they see that we totally don't have commission breath. That's why, like Betsy, like I totally get you saying like I'm not always asked for. I don't always ask for. Sometimes I just call people to connect with them, and they know. Or like I'll have coffee with somebody. I might not necessarily have a conversation all about real estate and how it's so awesome, but we might talk about our jobs. And I might talk about real estate while we're talking about our jobs or how work is going, and they remember. That's me, right?
Yeah, so you don't have to be so obvious.
No, if you just even talk about it like as a normal pastime, like normal friends talk about their job. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. Like this week was crazy.
You ever follow up, ask why they fix it?
Yeah, sometimes.
Afterwards?
Yeah.
What are some reasons?
Most people say they chose us because they referred to us and they trust us. Yeah. All right, so making it happen. So obviously when we get to the listing presentation, this is the time where all your hard work, right? Because it is hard work. You have to realize it can be hard work in your lead generation. This is where it actually pays off. This is where we're actually going to go and actually win the listing agreement. Now we go into the listing presentation. Do we have to say, let's sign the listing agreement or listing paper or contract? I know a lot of people say like, let's sign the contract, right? Let's do the right. This is like, you'll see it in these scripts. Sign the contract. I typically do not say contract, that's just me. I say paperwork or agreement. Right? Again, it's like introduction versus referral. Just a second. So first step, right? We're going to go ahead. We're going to put together a pre-listing packet. Now, where can we get a pre-listing packet from? eEdge. We also have one here with the materials. Like you could actually get the materials right from here from Ignite. I think technically,
Oh,
yes.
yeah, I printed. That was
So
our
technically, you're supposed to print it.
Print them out, yeah.
Is there a place where we can get it and it doesn't have the notes on it?
Shouldn't have the notes. Let's see. If you go to you go to materials and student files. The pre-listing presentation, all these things. It's a doc right here, pre-listing presentation right there, boom.
Fine, because this I know that's something that's not annotated, right?
So if you go to your Ignite, so it's KW Connect. And then you go to up at the top, it says materials. That's where you get it.
Do you mind printing one of those out for me? I can't access.
Yeah, so just ask them up at the front or ask Mary to see if they can print it out for you. Right, but you'll be able to get all this stuff, right? So you have, they have a database, right? They have a bunch of the stuff, buyer needs analysis questionnaire. Like this is seriously like it's gold. Like you can literally create your listing presentation straight from it. It's super simple. We're going to kind of go through it today. All right. So when you do the pre-listing packet and listing presentation, these things are going to help you do what the following, right? First of all, pre-qualify the sellers to understand motivation. It's important to understand and to assess their motivation to sell their house. Some people think they want to sell a house, but they actually don't want to sell a house. But they're actually not motivated. So you actually want to assess their motivation. One of the things Sam Rasul does, one of the top listing agents here, is he'll actually says he tries to disqualify people more than he pre-qualifies people. Because he doesn't want to waste his time with people that are not really interested in selling their house or only interested in selling their house at a ridiculous price. Right? House is worth $400,000. Yeah, I'm gonna sell it as long as I can get $550 out of it. I'm good. Okay, probably not the type of listing you want, right? Because it's just gonna sit on the market day after day after day after day, month after month, even year after year. Obviously, you're also trying to position yourself as an expert, ultimately trying to win the listing. It's also going to help you to allow you to actually price the home properly. So that's again why you go through the listing presentation for this packet. And of course, properly set seller expectations. So important to set expectations. When you set expectations, it actually allows you to set and improve your customer experience. Customer experience is a lot of times based on expectations. Has any of you guys ever gone to a movie that somebody said, "Oh my gosh, best movie ever, best movie ever, best movie ever"? You go to it. And you're like, it was okay, right? Or another, you just happen to go to another movie that everybody said it was like the worst movie in the world. You happen to hear worst movie, worst movie, worst movie. And you go and you're like, it was actually okay, right? Why do you think that is? Expectation. One of them was like you were almost overpromised, and it felt when it under-delivered, even though it might have been a decent movie, or a pretty good movie, but you thought it was gonna be so great. You're like, I was expecting this amazing life-transforming experience in this movie, and it was just like, I was kind of entertained for 2 hours. Well, another one, you're like, I was expecting like the worst experience of my life, like it was nails on a chalkboard, and it was actually a kind of kept me busy for 2 hours, actually kind of entertaining. Both of them you were kind of entertained, but one of them you actually left happy, one of them you left sad. Setting expectations, and also setting expectations of what it's going to look like to sell your house. Maybe your seller thinks that you're going to just list a house on the market and a week later you're going to have an offer and it's going to be $50,000 over list price because that's what their friend in Seattle said happens there. And so it's going to happen here, of course, but San Diego's national in Seattle. So that's their expectation. Or maybe they expect that they're going to, no one's going to come to their house after, 3 p.m. on a Sunday. So maybe you set those expectations about showings, about what's it going to look like to prepare the house, what's it going to look like to actually sell the house, and what they're actually going to net, right? Setting expectations along the way is going to help improve your customer experience. Of course, when you get great customer experiences, what does that allow you to do? Get great referrals, right? So one of the things when you're calling to set the listing appointment with the seller, you will want to confirm important details, including their motivation to sell. Pre-qualifying the seller will help you prepare for the listing appointment and gives you insight into the mind of the seller, actually help you understand their motivation, help you understand their mindset. It also helps you avoid wasting your time on those people who are not truly interested in selling their house. So the pre-qualifying process is really just a conversation with a goal of trying to get to know the seller better, right? So you actually understand their motivations, understand their goals. So the great thing is actually on page 14, there's a scripts and questions to help guide the conversation. Super easy, not very difficult, right? So if you just call up them, hey, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, so excited to meet you, so we can go ahead and list your house this Wednesday at 7 p.m. In doing that, I don't know if you saw a pre-listing packet I dropped off for you. Great, phenomenal. And before we meet, I want to ask you a couple questions just to make sure that I'm fully prepared for this meeting. Do you have a couple minutes? Yes, absolutely. So are both, I have seller names, and I just say, hey, are both people going to be there? Great. Are both you Untitled? Yes, awesome. So then you go through it. How did you hear about me? Where are you moving? What's motivating you there? You go through this list of questions so you pre-qualify, but more disqualify them, right? If they're not somebody you actually want to talk to, right? So how much do you want to list your home for? Why is that important to ask them?
If they're realistic or.
Yeah, you kind of know the battle you're going to have to face. If they say, yeah, I was thinking like 375, and you look at the comps and it's like 425, what are you thinking to yourself? You're thinking, man, sweet. You're like, yes. Yes, I love these sellers. These sellers are amazing.
This is a distress home. Distress home,
Distressed? Meaning what?
Oh.
meaning that it's not in a good condition, therefore.
Okay, yeah, so like that. Sometimes distress might mean like they haven't paid their, but they're still a great property. Yeah, if it's a fixer. Yeah. Possibility, right? So you might ask them how much they owe on the property. Why is that important?
If they're upside down.
Yeah, because you can help determine if they're upside down. They owe $400,000, right? And you think that their house is probably worth like $415 on a good day. It's going to be tough, right? Doesn't mean that you can't necessarily be done, but you might have to have the conversation. Are you okay having to pay some additional money to sell your house? Right? Because you run a net sheet, you might find that in order to pay the commission, which is going to be $24,000 on this minimum, right? 24K. So they're probably going to have at least for 30 something to 440, right? Roughly speaking, depending if they have other fees, closing costs, taxes, etc., that they have to pay. You're correct. But those are the things that they're going to have to think about, right? If not, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller would love to sell your house, but this is the reality that we're facing. So my question for you is, why are you really selling the house? Do you have to sell this house and just get out from under? Some people are like, yeah, I just need to be done with this house. I'm sick of paying the mortgage payments, right? Because that might be a conversation you have, right? Maybe they say, look, I think we can do it, but you're going to have to come out an extra $5,000 out of pocket just to make this work. Are you willing to do that? I don't know. Okay, great. Are you currently living in the house? No, we're not living there. Is anybody renting it? No, I'm so sick of it. There's so many problems that I've had with it. I just need to sell this house. So what are you hearing? They're very motivated to sell it. So even though they have to pay $5,000, great. What's your mortgage payment on that? Oh, we're spending, it's $3,000 a month, because I bought it in 2006 and I'm upside down, whatever. $3K, I have a super high interest rate. Okay, so $3K a month. Okay, so that means if you're not living in it, and you hold on to it for another 2-3 months, if you hold on for another 3 months, that's $9,000. So the other thing we do is we can list it now, and if you have to come out $5,000, that still puts you $4,000 ahead if you would have held on to it for 3 months. It's selling the house, something that still interests you, right? You're just coming from it, from what? From contribution. You're actually trying to do the best thing for them. Sometimes it's like, hey, you're living in it. Probably the best, if you're not willing to pay it, probably the best thing for you to do is just hold on to it for a little while because we're in an increasing market right now. I can't guarantee, no one has a crystal ball what's going to happen 6 months from now. But if we're on the same, the goal would be hopefully within the year that you'll be able to sell the house. And I'll keep you posted as the market changes. Is that okay? Right? Is there anything in the future in the next 2-3 years that I should be aware of too that, there's going to say, yeah, I absolutely need to be out of California in 2 years. There could be a market correction the next 2 years. Are you willing to take on that risk? Make sense? All right, pre-listing packet. An effective pre-listing packet positions you as a real estate expert of choice, the best person to get their home sold for the right price at the least amount of time and with the least hassle. The pre-listing packet really plays 2 critical roles. First of all, it's pre-selling. The pre-listing materials, you can actually get them in the Ignite, they're actually targeted, designed to build sellers' confidence in you and answer any questions or objections in advance of the presentation. Sometimes when people have questions, if they read through it in the packet, they don't have to ask you 100 questions, right? So one of the things we do in our pre-listing package, we might talk about what we do for our marketing. So I don't have to spend the whole time talking about why I'm so great and I'm amazing and look at this and look at that, But sellers don't want to hear about that. Sometimes they're interested in your marketing, but if you can just give them, hey, here's my packet of marketing right here, and in this packet of marketing also has my credentials, I don't need to spend the time talking about how awesome I am because my pre-listing packet already says it. Right? And most people care about who first? Themselves first. Saving time, a strong pre-listing packet will make the consultation experience smoother and probably shorter than it would have been otherwise, right? Because their questions, things like that are answered. So did anybody print out their copy, the pre-listing packet? Holly, that's it? You got it too, Betsy? Awesome. Pretty cool, right? You can actually, when you go through it, you can do one without the notes. You can actually personalize it to yourself. So page 16, you'll see the first one. Right? So go ahead, spend a minute just reading through this. It's all about the seller. It's all about you. And then we'll go over it. Okay, you got the list. That's all that matters. All right. So the first page, this is the first page the seller's going to read. This is going to set the tone for the entire relationship, right? You want to provide an excellent customer experience, hopefully, and by making about the process about the seller, their wants, their needs, et cetera, that's going to differentiate you from your competition. So it's all about you. It'll help you by taking time to understand your wants, needs, and expectations, answering your questions, returning your phone calls and emails the same day, being honest with you at all times. Why is that important? Trust, right? Helping you obtain the highest possible price for your house in the shortest amount of time. Why is that important? Yeah, that's why you're working for them, right? That's usually what they want. They want to work with an expert so they don't have, they can actually sell their house for the highest price for the shortest amount of time. Advising you on pricing and staging once they've evaluated your home thoroughly against the market. Implementing a comprehensive marketing plan to expose your house for the buyers through as many channels as possible. Coordinating the home showing process, presenting all offers, negotiating on your behalf, scheduling and coordinating completion of contingencies and inspections. What is this doing? This is telling them that you're taking care of the process, right? But the process is about who? Is it about me, the agent? No. No, it's about them. I'm here to get you from A to B. And oftentimes, if you remember in that listing presentation video, he said, in helping you move into your next house, a lot of times people will sell and then buy another house. So if you ever go on one of those listing presentations, do not forget that you're actually helping them buy another house. A lot of home sellers don't even think of themselves as a home seller. They think of themselves first as a home buyer. Did you know that?
Our listings are good, right? You get two.
Yeah, a lot of times, not always. Yeah, I mean, we don't think of that in the real estate industry because we see them as buyers and sellers. But more often than not, a home seller is just a person who's in the process of purchasing another house, and so they have to sell their house so they can purchase that next one.
That was years ago.
Yeah.
Selling it is kind of passive, but buying is active, so that was where my focus was.
Yeah, your focus was on buying because so I might be thinking like, hey, I'm in a 3-bedroom place and I have 4 kids and we need some more room.
Done with this place, what's next?
Yeah, what's next? We in the real estate industry, because we're all about listings, we think of them as home sellers. Probably 7 out of 10 times they think of themselves as a buyer first and a seller secondarily in order to get to that process of buying the next house. It's an integral part of me getting my cash out of this place so I can buy my next place. Getting ready to list. This page will help the seller prepare to list their house. It details how price, location, condition, competition, and timing affect property value. Go ahead, take a minute and read through this page.
Still something good to send to them? Should I still send this out to them?
No, I wouldn't send any. No, that's a pre-listing packet. Yeah, this is right. So this is specifically helpful, especially when you're going up against other competition. Now, even if you're not, I still suggest doing it, right? Because it's nice to lay that on the door, leave a little something with them, and just say, hey, like this what I'll be doing for you, right? And one of the great things about this getting ready to list is, what will it sell for, right? You're already priming them for that conversation. It says the market tells us how much your home is worth. I will advise you on pricing after my thorough analysis of your property compared to the market. And with my recommendations, you will make the final decision. Right? So it's already priming them that what determines the value of their house? The market. So when they say, well, Holly told me my house was worth $500. Jonathan, why are you telling me it's only worth $425? She said she can get it sold in 30 days for $500,000. And I might say something like, wow, is she planning on buying it? Because unless either she's buying it or she already has somebody that already has an offer in hand, any agent that can guarantee you that they're going to sell your house for a particular price, especially when one that's so out of reach with what we see the market selling it for, is either being dishonest with you or they don't know what they're doing. Both of which probably disqualify them from actually being a professional representing you on what I assume is your largest financial asset. Does that make sense, Betsy?
Yes.
Great. I just want to make sure that you're totally taken care of. Right? So Holly would never do that, by the way. Right?
That was great what you said, your largest financial asset. That's stuff that.
Yeah. Well, for most people it is. That's why I say what I assume is your largest financial asset. And they go, no, I have 15 other homes. You're like, I am the realtor for you. Right? Hello. But it is important to think about that. That is a weighty thing for them to think about. Then that's a good script to have, right? When somebody says, well, they told me, if you remember reading the pre-listing packet I gave you, you might not call it pre-listing packet, in the marketing packet I gave you, or in the guide to selling your home successfully. As Gene Rivers said, this is what we need to do. The market is what determines the value of your house. My goal is to increase that perceived value within the market's eyes, but I can't make the market do something it's not going to do unless that agent is writing you a check personally. In cash, by the way, because a bank is not going to appraise that. In cash, then any agent who would say that is either unfortunately either being dishonest with you or they don't know what they're doing. Both of which, or either of which, should disqualify you from, you know, representing you in the sale of your largest financial asset. Does that sound weighty? Does that sound convincing? Am I trying to be sleazy and salesy? No, Betsy's like, maybe. No, I'm being honest with them. Like, I hate when I see sellers' homes listed for like $100,000 more than what it should be listed for. Who is that helping?
All of them are, right?
Well, some of them are, not all of them, but some of them are. Yeah, the listing agents.
Market's insane.
Yeah, you're getting seller greedy. People are getting what I call the seller greedy eyes.
So how long before it's like, because I was looking at one where my daughter lives, and it's been on the market 47 days. I thought it was priced too high, and now I'm real sure it is. It's still on the market, active, not even.
Yeah.
Like how long before they should have repriced it?
So it all depends per the market, right? And in a place where, say, you have 6 months of inventory and that's a balanced market, it might be a while, right? But so the National Association of Realtors tells us that when you have 12 showings with no offers, or 2 weeks of no showings, that you're overpriced, right? Now, a lot of that is based on a general balanced market, right? That's a good script to have, though, by the way, because if you go 2 weeks, especially, I'm telling you, this market, if you go 2 weeks without any showings, you are ridiculously overpriced. So part of that, too, is understanding the market that we're in. If we're in a market that has 1 month of inventory, and you haven't sold within that month, you are, like, ridiculously overpriced, generally speaking. Now, you have to look for that price segment. Like a $4 million house is going to be different than a $200,000 house. Yeah, little condo. Guarantee, I can pretty much guarantee it.
47 days.
Yeah.
That's way high.
Totally.
Can you pre-work that out if the guy won't go down on his asking price and say, okay, so here's what they recommend, 12 showings or 2 weeks with no showings. After that, how about we go down to this price?
So what some people will do is when in that presentation, what they're going to do is say, okay, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, obviously this price is really important to you, and we can either do it one of two ways. We can either price it at market, or we can price it for the reach. And it sounds to me like you want to price it for the reach, like really hoping that you find that one buyer, right? And maybe in this market, I say, look, if they're even semi-realistic, I might say, like, look, in this market, I don't know if I necessarily blame you, right? Now, if we're going to do that, if I'm going to agree to list the house at this price for you, what I'm going to need for you is a commitment. Are you willing to commit to me something? If I'm willing to commit to this price, you usually say, okay, well, what is it? Okay, well, I'll list it at that $499 that you said. But like I said, I really think it's really worth $450. Or I really think we should price it at $450 so we're working in a better weight class, right? If we want to list it here, what we can do is we can look at it, and I'll do what I do, and I'll be gauging the market, getting feedback. And if within 2 weeks, based on the market statistics that we have now, if we do not have any offers, or not have, that are within 5% of this price, would you agree with me to go ahead and lower it to the price that I suggest of $449? Right? And they go, sure, okay, great. So actually have this addendum, whatever, and you can sign we'll date it for 2 weeks from now. And we'll sign the price adjustment now.
You usually do 2 weeks instead of a month?
You could do a month. I mean, it depends, right?
They'll probably negotiate that part with you, though, right?
Yeah, you're going to negotiate, but just say, look, because the longer that and within the pre-listing packet, I think this one, I don't know if this one has it, but like usually within the listing presentation or pre-listing packet, they have I don't think it's in here, but look on the thing. They have like this little thing that shows your most number of showings is like within your first, 3 weeks. And after that, you're going to drip down most because you're having all the people that have been looking for months and months and months. They're all going to see your house when it first hits the market.
Is it okay to describe to them why you want it at a different price than what they're wanting it at? Like,
Yeah, I mean, bring it back to the market.
Yeah.
It's not about what I want and my expertise. This is what the market thinks. Blame the market. This is what the market says.
This is what's sold, this is what's for sale now, it's
Yeah.
all 50 grand less than yours. You pay 500 for this house over here, it's just sold.
If you're a buyer and you see this house and this house, which one are you going to choose? You might even show the ones that are active and just compare them with each other. Well, okay, great. Why'd you choose this one over this one? Oh, well, the wood floors are amazing. That one's super dated. Okay, great. Phenomenal. What about this one and this one? Which one would you choose?
You said like you just want more of a competitive price out there for people, just touch their eye and it just brings more attention.
Yeah, well, this is what I tell people is that your listing price it's just the first number you're throwing out there. And you need to look at it not as the sales price, but as a marketing price.
What's the deal with ranges? I always see ranges.
Depends.
So the point of having a range.
Good question. So, yeah, it's a great question. And I have my theory on it. And I will tell you what I think also happens. I think a lot of agents, this is what happens, I think a lot of agents. A lot of agents go, okay, I think the house is worth, $455. I don't know how you'd be that exact, but let's just say they say $455. I would never price something at this, by the way. I'd rather just price it at $449 because people look at homes in what type of increments. 50, yeah, zeros, 50K. Right? People find searches and they usually look up to like, sometimes they do like 625, but a lot of times they do like 600, 650, 700. They might look up to 600, but they maybe do qualified to 750. Happens a lot, right? So they can technically afford 610, but they just kind of arbitrarily chose 600 because they feel comfortable with that budget, and well, 600 is a nice round number. Most people aren't going to say, well, I'm comfortable with $1,836 a month in fees, so therefore I'm capping it at $612,302.50. Like most people aren't getting that exact, right? They're going to just round number 600,000. I think a lot of agents, this is what they do. Oh, I think the house is worth $455. Okay. Seller thinks the house is worth $479. So they say, okay, well, I don't want to fight with the seller and I can't get them down to $455. So I'm just going to say, well, how about this? We'll just put a range on it and say it's $455 to $479. That's what I think a lot of people, that's what I think a lot of agents do. I think it's dumb. One, because sometimes the agents, what's going to happen is you're probably going to get an offer, if you only get one offer, it's probably going to be at the low end. And now the seller's going to think that you're fighting against them, and now you're trying. You should have kind of done the convincing up front and at the listing presentation rather than having to do it at the tail end, because now their expectation is this, even though you should have set the expectation early on that this is really what they should expect. Yeah?
Good question. What about if the location is awesome?
What do you mean?
The location, an awesome location. Let's say the seller just, it's $455 to $479.
Yep.
And the seller's saying, yeah, I want $479, but I'll take $455.
Yeah, I mean, that's another thing that people do. Again, I disagree with it. Right? Because now you already just, if you think the house is worth $479 and the seller wants $479, and you legitimately think you can back up at $479, but they say, but I'll take $455, why are you telling the market that you're going to take $455?
I was wondering because I did the open house Saturday and it was $749 to $799.
Yep.
Traffic was awesome. Great location. The house wasn't that great. And the last persons that came into the house, they offered $799 cash.
Yep. Okay, so here's two things, right? First of all, things like Redfin never show the bottom end of the range, just FYI. Redfin is not concerned with getting people the best deal. They're concerned with getting the most number of clients working through their non-personal biased process, FYI. This, right, but by the way, what did you said the 749?
$749 to $799.
So this is the way that I think is proper.
Question was good because I didn't know why you did that.
Do you notice anything? Did you notice a difference between these two things? Okay, it has the $50,000 range. Let's just say, besides that, that's a bigger range, right? What do people look for in terms of increments? Round numbers. So somebody might be looking up to 750. Somebody might be looking up to 450 and 500. What does this range do for you? Literally nothing. What does this range do for you? Yep. You now just captured everything below 749. People looking up to 750. Even though you might think the house is worth 779 or 789, or somewhere in that range, you're like, I think it's worth high sevens.
So how do you explain to the sellers like why you want to capture those people that are below that price point that they really don't even want to go below? Like how do you explain that to them? Have them understand why you would go to the 749.
Well, I'd say exactly what I was telling you guys earlier. I mean, I'm sure that you understand, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, that a lot of people are looking for houses much lower in price than what they're actually approved for. Wouldn't you agree? What are they? They're probably they're just like you and just like me. They're financially responsible people, right? But sometimes what happens is the right house comes along, and most people don't buy on, just like intellect or straight facts. They buy on emotion. Right now, if they see that this price came in, and now this is competing against all the homes under 750, and they see your house and go, I've seen a lot of houses. This is the one, because most people, doesn't matter whether or not they're $200,000 buyers or $2 million buyers, most people want just a little bit more than they want to spend. Whether it's an extra bedroom, whether it's a better location, whether it's a little more square footage, whether it's a bigger backyard. I find this with almost 95% of my buyers, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. So what we're trying to do here is we're trying to capture that audience. That's one thing we're trying to do. The other thing we're trying to do is we're trying to drive demand to the house. Have you ever heard of the law of supply and demand? Yeah, most people have heard of the law. Say, yeah, absolutely. So my goal, right, is we only have one in your house, is to drive demand to your house. When we drive demand to your house, what do you think that's going to do for the ultimate sales price of your house? It's going to increase it, because we're going to try to get people into a bidding war. Or people are going to go through the open house. You're going to see a lot of people there. They go, man, a lot of people want this house. It's a popular house. They're going to want to buy it, because the reason why you work with someone like me is because I actually understand buyer psychology. By understanding buyer psychology, I'm actually going to drive the price higher than most other agents. There's a reason why we sell homes for 5.8% more than the average agent. Does that sound good? You convinced? You want to list with me?
Do it. 5.8.
What?
5.8, go.
4.8. So I was just making a number, but yeah, 4.8. That makes sense? So that's why I do a range, is if I'm going to straddle something. General rule of thumb, or you might try to straddle somebody else. So like in a market, like we're having an increasing market and all comps are showing around like 500. But you're like, hey, like maybe, we have no other competition. Maybe I'm going to do a 499 to 529 because I'm going to try to straddle people up to here. Right. I think that all the comps show right around 500, but we're in a hot market right now. We have no competition. We might be able to pull people up because $29,000, might be doable for somebody. Right. Pricing strategy. You don't just price a house because that's what you think. I mean, you got to think about it strategically. Most agents don't think about it strategically. Like what the F is that? 455? Like, maybe you guys have done that. I don't know. I would never do this. There's literally no point in doing this. Unless you want to actually get rid of all of the market that might be looking up to 450. A lot of agents do this. Like, I swear to you. If you can't explain to your seller why pricing at 449 will be 100% better for them, like literally every time. $6,000, that's nothing to a buyer with a 3.5%, 4% loan.
For 30-year loans.
Yeah, I mean, it's like dollars. You willing to spend an extra $20 a month? Yeah, $20 for the house of my dreams, totally. But they're not thinking about that because they're looking up to 450. Make sense? You're just decreasing the pool of buyers. When you decrease the pool of buyers, what happens to the sale price? Sale price usually dips, or it takes much longer to sell.
Will you accept offers on something like that that's below the bottom of the range?
I see houses all the time sell for stuff below bottom of the range. They've been on the market for a long time. The other part of it is getting the seller to actually agree to it. Right, because there's multiple parties involved.
I've got a buyer that did search up to 450, you have it at 449, and they're really more like 435 or whatever. Stab at it, you know.
Yeah,
You're not gonna.
why not? Some people may turn you around, but we just wrote an offer that was $15,000 less. And all we got back was a text message. Did you give an offer? Yeah, we called you, we left you a text message, we sent you an email. Oh, okay. Well, what's the list price? Did you not receive the offer? And finally told him, he's like, oh, that's too low, I'm not gonna counter. Like, okay, like you're the dumbest agent ever. Right, like very unprofessional. Why wouldn't you ever counter? You're gonna get agents like that in this industry we're in.
They're just lazy, they don't wanna write a counter.
They're lazy, they don't know how to negotiate. What does it hurt them to write up a counter offer, even if it's for full price?
Yeah. And you're blown out of the water.
Yeah, you just lost a chance. Yeah, there's a lot of lazy agents. Surprise. Anyways, so the page 18, getting ready to sell price. So again, this talks about price, a well-priced home, an underpriced home, an overpriced home. Talks about the pitfalls of all of them. Really important, guys, to read through this. Getting ready to sell condition on page 19. Look, this is true. You do not get a second chance on a first impression. Right? Which is why it's great to actually prepare the house for the listing, for staging the home. Why that makes you want it to stand out from the crowd. Hey, well, why does it matter? Why does it matter that you're getting these great photography? Why does it matter that you're doing the staging? Why is it, well, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, have you seen Tinder? Probably not, right? What do you think people do on dating websites? Do the women usually take off all their makeup? And right after they come from the gym, they take a picture? Do the men just usually, like, they just woke up out of bed wearing a crummy t-shirt? How many people do you think are going to swipe right on that? Not many, right?
That's a great analogy.
Is there like partial staging that you can do? Like, are there any people that do staging, but do they do like a partial staging? Because
There's 0 to 100%. Anywhere from 0 to 100%, anywhere in between.
who do you recommend?
We can chat later, but I got a couple of people that I would definitely recommend talking to.
Do you use a staging company as opposed to having?
I do. You don't have to. You can. There's so many ways to do it, right? You can either tell them, like, you can stage it yourself. Chances are, David, Eric, Betsy, you guys might be great interior designers. Not going to be as good as the stager.
So what does it generally cost on average to stage a house?
It's usually house by house, anywhere from $1,000 to several grand. That's for 6. Now, what happens too is a lot of stagers, what they'll do is they'll say, oh yeah, I'm only $500, or I'm only $300, or whatever it is, and then you find out all of a sudden they're adding all these extra fees, all these other things, like, oh, well, you want to rent furniture? Well, then now it's going to be this, and now it's going to be that. And by the way, this is every single month you're paying me this, and you're like, holy crap! Like, if I keep the stuff in here for 3 months, it's going to cost me 10 grand. Like, you seem so cheap at first, but now you pull, so people we use, right? They're a 6-month flat fee. They go and they do the consultation, they give you a quote, and that's it. Why do I like them? Well, I like them telling the seller why their house sucks and not me. That to me is priceless. I charge more for it, but I tell them too. I'm like, look, you can pay, you can pay me 4% and I'll take care of the staging for you, right? Or 3.5, or whatever you're going to charge. 3, if you want to be a discount. I don't suggest being a discount broker if you want to be in it for long. You want the worst type of clients, become a discount broker. Right, Eric? Become a discount person, you're going to get the worst clients.
That's why I love Century 21.
Literally. But so or you can make them pay for it, right? It just all depends. You can make them pay for it. Hey, well, you can, if you want to pay me only 3%, great. You can go ahead and you can pay the stager, and it's roughly going to cost you, $2,000. I absolutely, I will pocket I charge more. I do pocket a little bit of a difference, but that's because I'm taking on the risk. Most people understand that. And so when you say, look, if you want to save some money, you're really about saving money, you're really motivated to sell, I would suggest you just pay me the 3%. You pay for the staging on your own. That'll definitely save you money. I'm totally all about it. Right? Different ways to do it. Be creative. You can charge somebody 10% commission if you want, if they agree to it.
That's what I was gonna ask, so if it's, they say, you say I want 3.5, the whole commission is 6.5.
You can- Okay, so when you do a listing agreement, you agree on the total commission paid and the commission that you're paying the buyer's agent. Right now in our market, you're seeing average from 2.5 to 3% to the buying side. Sometimes you see less, which is why you should get a buyer broker and explain to them, whatever.
I heard a lot of guys with $1.
Yeah, there's people who do that too.
Why?
Because he's an a-hole. I don't know. It probably is. Probably not the guy you wanted. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Yeah, people do stuff. I saw we showed one the other day where it was like 1%. So I told my buyer, I said, yeah, I mean, the listing sucks, by the way. Totally sucked. It was terrible. Wasn't prepared at all. So I'm glad about that. But I explained to them, I said, look, this is one, because of our agreement, if they're actually expecting the buyer to pay the buyer's agent commission. Now, we can absolutely negotiate that into the sales price and into the agreement. And if this agent's anything like his commission tells me, hopefully he won't even see it. He probably doesn't even read the contract. But, we're going to go ahead and we can put in there for them to negotiate to pay it, as part of their closing costs. Right. Most people understand that if you're a professional, you get paid for your job. Most people are not queasy with a 3%. I think we talk ourselves out of it. There's going to be people that are like, just, that's who they are.
Where do you see what the total commission is on the listing? If you're coming in with a buyer, where do you see?
You don't see that
You don't know until the deal's done.
till you get it on the commission breakdown.
So then how could you?
And then I see, I don't know. They might they may be paying you 1%, and they took a commission for a total of 2%.
Right. I'm just saying you were trying to add the commission into
Into the agreement, I say seller shall pay, buyer additional 2% towards buyer's agent commission.
Was that really, commission really isn't supposed to be a negotiable thing. But if the seller's willing. to
Well, think about it.
negotiate
You just tell the buyer. You say, look, my buyer's agreed to pay me a 3% commission. So it can definitely be negotiable to pay an additional 2% to buyer's agent. And they ask, you say, look, it's because buyers agreed me to pay me 3%, and they do not want to pay me cash. They want it to come out of their loan. And if the listing agent freaks out and say, look, you very well should have and could have negotiated this up front. Right? But in order for me to represent my buyers, I get paid a full commission because I'm a full service agent. Right? I understand my value, and so do my buyers. And so if you don't agree to this, that's okay. We'll go ahead, we'll move on to the next property. So you leave it up to the seller, right? And you should understand, you should explain to the seller when you're negotiating that commission why it's a good idea for them to pay a full commission to the buyer's agent. What do you think happens when you reduce that commission? Think you're going to get more showings or less showings? Yeah. Why? Because oftentimes it's the first one that people throw out. If I got 6 properties to show, and I know the client gave me the list of 6 properties, and I have my time to show 5. I'm not saying I do this. I'm just saying there's agents who do this, right? What's going to be the 5 expense? If an agent has to show, only has time to show 3 properties, and their buyer gives them 5 properties and says, hey, choose which ones 3 you're going to choose. Which one do you think is going to be the first one that goes out? That one. What are the other things that may kick people out the door?
But how do you know that one has a low commission? That's a low. Oh, it's not, okay.
Yeah, MLS tells you what the commission is. Yeah.
As long as it's listed there, at the time of offer, it's just valid right there.
Mm-hmm.
But they get fined and arbitrations and those about
Yep. Get ready to sell has questions so that they can go through the questions on page 20. You know, like for example, how would you like me to communicate with you? Email, phone, text, other. And about you, and of course you can customize that about you, why you're awesome, why if you have any expertise. If you want to take something out, you can take it out. If you don't have a client testimonial, you can take the client testimonial out. You don't have to keep anything in there. You can put whatever you want. You can put a client testimonial from yourself if you really want to be funny. I don't know. Awesome. So we're going to watch the listing presentation. Does that make sense, guys, why you do a pre-listing packet?
Yes.
Hi, I'm Josh Bath from Vancouver, Canada. I'm with Keller Williams for 8 years and been selling real estate for 18 years. Now I'm going to walk you through my listing presentation, and it's a 3-step process. First part is preparation, second part is presentation, and the third part is follow-up. A lot of my listings come by way of referral and repeat. And so when the call comes in and they want me to come over and list their home, I have a conversation about what their needs are. What exactly is it you're looking to do? Are you moving up? Are you moving down? I have them tell me exactly what the reasons are that they're selling for. I get a real sense of what direction that they want to go. One of the things that we've done to make my appointment setting a little easier is we've time blocked. We follow what Gary says. He says time block everything that you do. And we time blocked our slots in advance for listing appointments. Every day, Monday to Friday, we have a slot available at 4 o'clock and a second slot available at 5:30. So I've got a potential of 10 listing appointments Monday to Friday. That makes my life a lot easier because I'm able to time block my lead generation first thing in the morning and not have my day so loose and scattered, so I'm trying to scramble on where to put a listing appointment. What we do now in our team is we've decided to go paperless with our evaluations, our CMAs. So instead of printing off paper, what we'll do is we'll take it on the computer and convert it to PDF, mark it up with a highlighter from there on the computer, and then create an email from that. Email that package off to our client prior to going out to their home listing. What I do when I go on a listing presentation is I meet the sellers at the door, and I have them take me on a tour of the property. During that time, I'm actually asking them to tell me again, to recap again, what their motivation is for selling. So I'm getting them more comfortable with them moving out of their house is what I'm doing. That usually takes about 5 minutes. And when we're done there, we transition right over to the kitchen table. We'll talk about the market, the evaluation itself, and that in itself is about 15 minutes. Once we've agreed upon a price that we're going to list at, we'll sign a listing contract. They sign the initial 3-page contract. They sign the property disclosure statement, and they sign the working with a realtor brochure. Outside of those 3 documents, that's it. I send in my measuring company to come in and measure the home. I send in my stager who's going to contact them to come in and stage the home. And once she's done, then I send in a photographer and take the photos of the home. We always do a follow-up with them as well, just to say, how did that go? What was that experience like for you? Keeps them feeling like they're in control and very much a part of the process. And it lets them know that we're paying attention to every detail on their listing prior to it even being on the market. One of the expectations that I set with the sellers is that I phone them twice a week on purpose. So I set their expectation for me to phone them on Monday mornings with what's called a Monday morning update, where I review everything that's happened for their home over the past weekend with them. The second call that I set them up for to expect is on Fridays, and that's a Friday morning market update. And what I've set them up for is that I'm going to talk to them about any new listings that have hit the market, any expireds that have come off the market, and any solds that have actually just happened since that past week. They also know that on Friday, we're going to be talking about the numbers. Does the current list price that we're at right now still make sense in relation to the latest listings or the most current solds? They know in advance that that conversation could lead to a price reduction. And a lot of times, they bring that on themselves. They say, hey, look, you know what, it looks like we might be a bit high, Josh. Should we bring it down? So it's a natural transition to a price reduction. One of the reasons I choose not to do a pre-listing package is when I'm sitting in front of them, I really want their full focus and attention. I want their attention on me, and I want to be able to ask them questions where they're giving me their full attention and not flipping through a pre-listing package. Most of their questions are going to come straight from the gut, and that's really what I'm looking for. I'm Josh Bath, and I just shared my listing presentation with you, and I wish you all the best with yours.
Any ahas?
I like
doesn't do a pre-listing package.
He doesn't, but if you notice, he said he doesn't do it like at the presentation. So I think he's probably referring to a lot of agents would bring their pre-listing package with them to the presentation. Like, here's my marketing booklet. Here you go. Take a look at this. Blah, 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 blah. And then they're like, whenever you give something to a seller at a table or something to somebody at a table, they start looking through it. Like, doesn't matter what you're doing. Like, you're gonna start looking. You give them a contract, they're gonna, it's like, who wants to read that? They will start reading through it. They will start like paging through it rather than listening to you.
I like the idea of phone calls, one on Monday, one on Friday, follow up, set them up.
Yeah.
And there's how we set them up for that. Hey, this is what to expect from me. So he's setting that expectation.
So when do you interview the prelisting package?
I would give it to them a couple days before. Right. You don't have to do a pre-listing package.
Oh, you don't even need to.
No, you don't need to, but the point of it is that it answers a lot of your questions, right?
There is objections.
You technically don't even have to do a listing presentation. You can go in and ask them just to sign the contract. Do you think that's going to work well for you?
Have you been personal?
Only if they're a really warm lead.
Yeah, unless they're really warm lead, yeah.
Really warm.
What do you typically spend on a listing? Photographer and you do staging?
It depends on, you know, anywhere from several hundred to several $1,000s, depending on the listing. You know,
It's a good thing to mention to them too when they're trying to negotiate the points.
yeah, I mean, especially if they're trying to do good. I mean, me personally, I don't go that route of like trying to do the dollars. Some people do that, like, oh, I pay. What you get to realize is I pay my brokerage and I pay my taxes, and this is what, you know. So you're trying to take, which is kind of true, right? But to me, you're still talking in the dollars and cents, and they're just thinking, okay, but dollars and cents. This is my personal opinion, right? I want to knock them out of that, right? I want to get off of price and get onto value. Yeah, this is why you should show that this is what you provide and why it's important to them. Not only why is it important, why is it absolutely essential? And so somebody might say, well, you want to discount your commission. Bobby Joe said they do it for 4%. And I said, you know, David, that's great. You know, it doesn't shock me that Bobby Joe does it for 4%. You know, the truth is a lot of agents will discount their commission. Now, have you ever paid less for something? I don't know, let's just say a car or maybe even a contractor, paid less for something, thinking you're getting like a really great deal, and then find out later you kind of got what you paid for? Yeah, see, this time is really just like that time. Do you mind if I explain? See, in the industry, there are a lot of people that will discount their commission, and they simply do it because they have no idea how to negotiate. They have no idea how to justify value. And so what would be happening is you'd be putting your largest financial asset, or what I assume is your largest financial asset, you'd be putting the negotiation of that largest financial asset into the hands of someone who's already proven to you that without a doubt that their best marketing strategy, their best negotiation strategy is to lower the price to get it done. So when they will go ahead and they do that and they go up against a trained negotiator, someone like myself, what do you think is going to happen? Are you going to save money or are you going to lose money? You're probably going to lose money, right? Because your whole goal is to net the most amount of money possible. Right, David? Great. And so if you're like our savvy clients, and I trust you are, you seem like you are, you know, you understand the value of working with a trained negotiator like myself. And that's why we'll go ahead and we'll get the deal done for you. And that's, you know, that because I'm willing to fight for my money just like I'm willing to fight for yours. Or another question might be, you just might go, yeah, if they're willing to give away their money that fast, how fast do you think they're going to give away your money? I mean, that's true. People fight for their own money more than they're going to fight for, I mean, like, if they can't even negotiate their own money, they're not going to negotiate for yours. Does that make sense?
You write that? Did you write that?
Right, what?
That's great.
No.
One of these?
No, it's not one of those. It's, I've,
Yeah, I mean, not in my head. Yeah. Like, yeah.
it's, so I'd say it's adapted. I would say it's adapted from Bull and a couple other things. So it's one of the Bull, if you can master objection handling, literally it's like, once you get a couple objections down, really down pat, like it really helps you just in everything. Just helps you sound more intelligent. And it's true, like it really is true. Like I've seen agents who discount their commission, not even be able to sell their own house, like not even like, they could have gotten more money for their own house, they didn't. They don't know how to negotiate. How you do anything is how you do everything. Like that's the reality. If you cannot fight for your own commission, like do you really think you're going to fight for your seller's money if you're not even going to fight for your own? Sometimes it's like doesn't mean that you're never going to like charge less on a commission. Like sometimes you just do it, but like, gosh dang it, at least give it a shot. At least show them you got some like gumption. And at the end of the day, you say, man, you really beat me down. I'm really proud of you. You know, nobody else really does this to me. You know, but at least you can trust that from this, you know that I'm going to fight for your money and I know how to negotiate once you agree to service the seller. That I'm not just going to give up easily. That's exactly why you want to work with someone just like me. That's why I'm excited to sell your house and excited to negotiate on your behalf. You ready to go ahead and take care of some paperwork? Right. All right, listing appointment. Well, we're not really going to go through much of it. We're going to try to end a little early today for you guys. If you don't mind, I see you guys nodding off, a couple of you. Mostly Holly. I saw Holly. So.
It's not your fault.
You're welcome.
I think it's.
Yeah, it's just the air running nonstop, and it's humid in this room. And yeah. So listing appointment, guys. Listing appointment. Look, my biggest suggestion for you guys when you guys do a listing appointment is really just have a structure of what you're going to do. Right? Don't just go in there. Don't just wing it. But have a structure of what you're going to do, right? So a lot of people on page 23, here is a good basic structure. If you watch the listing presentation video, you have another basic structure. This guy, he did another basic structure, right? But basically, you agree with them. You may walk through the home, you build some rapport, then you do a listing presentation where you're going to talk about pricing the house, what's going on in the current market. And then, of course, you're going to go ahead and close for the listing agreement, right? You're going to close to get the paperwork done. And I will say that if there's anything that you guys should realize, that there is a point of close. There is a point that is very natural for you to go ahead and ask them to take care of the paperwork, right? So you guys ready to go ahead and take care of the paperwork now? Right? I want you to say now. So are you guys ready to take care of the paperwork now? Yeah, okay, great. Let's go ahead and, you comfortable with everything we've talked about today? Great. So let's go ahead and we can take, and you can even set up beforehand. The goal today is to review your motivation. We're going to walk through the house. I'm going to take some notes. We're going to discuss what's going on in the current market. And then, of course, we're going to take care of any paperwork needed to go ahead and get your property ready for sale. Okay, Mr. and Mrs. Seller? You're already assuming the close. They might say, oh, well, we're not signing anything today. Or they might go, okay, great. Some people might say, great, let's just take care of the paperwork now and we can do the other stuff later. Great. It happens, yes. Very rare, but some people are like, dude, I don't have time. I'm going to work with you. You tell me what my house is worth. We'll sign the paper. You might say, hey, look, I understand you want to do it quickly. We can take care of the paperwork. Let's go through why we're going to price the house reduced, just so you feel completely comfortable. Okay, everyone? Well, I'll promise I'll make it quick. We'll keep it to 10 minutes, right? Whatever it is. But there's a point of close when you've gone through the process, and a lot of agents, especially a lot of rookie agents, will walk right by that point of close. And then they're like, oh, because once you go by it, it's like, it's so awkward. You're better to close way ahead of time than you are to like way after. It's natural. Just be telling you, I remember thinking, the first time someone told me that, and I was in a listing presentation, I'm like, this is it. I'm either asking for it now or I'm asking for it never, so I'm going to ask for it now. Great, so you go ahead, you ready to take care of the paperwork? Great, let's go ahead and let's take care of it. Do you prefer that we go line by line, or do you want to just kind of give you the nuggets of what's going on in each paragraph? Line by line. Oh. All right. So right here, if you go through this, there's like a basic structure of how it might go. You're gonna, you might greet them, walk through the house, and this Ignite has a home tour checklist if you want to use it. Then you give a listing presentation. You're gonna build their confidence in you. You share your price recommendation, and of course, you're gonna set expectations. So if you go through page 27, 29, there's actually a guide to selling your home, right? And this is actually like a walkthrough listing presentation that you could do. So if you don't want to do another one, you can do this. And you can ask them these questions. What is important, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to go through this paperwork to make sure that we completely take care of your needs. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being not so desirable, 10 being extremely desirable, what one thing has to happen in this transaction for you to experience a 10? Well, you got to call me every single day, Candace. You got to call me every day for this to be a 10. Okay, at least I know that. That's the one thing. Nothing else. Nope. Could be the crappiest pictures you can sell for 50 grand less. If you call me every day, that is the one thing, right? So it's clarity. Clarity is power. So you're not missing out, right? Any of you guys married in here? Do you think it's good as a husband to know exactly what your wife wants? Is that power? To like deliver, like to yeah, like this is what you want for her birthday, and like I'm getting it for it. It's like right, but that clarity, right, and understanding that, or vice versa, knowing what your husband wants, right, like versus just trying to guess, having these unspoken expectations, right? And also, well, I'm ticked off. Why are you ticked off? Well, you're supposed to take out the trash. Well, we never talked about that. Like if you told me I would take it out. Like I just would have known that. That's not how we did it in my house, right? My mom always did it. Well, my dad did it. And that's, you know, the same sort of thing, right? This is a relationship business. Communication is very crucial. And just sometimes just asking powerful questions is going to make all the difference in the world in setting those proper expectations. All about you, why you might be moving, but hopefully you should have done that. So if you just go through why Keller Williams Realty, blah, 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 technology, what you get from me. Right, you can go through pretty quickly. This is pretty long, so I probably wouldn't really do this whole thing, but if you literally have nothing else to do, you can just go through this pamphlet. This really long pamphlet. Let's see. It's really long. 69. A lot of people don't do the disclosure document here until afterwards, but you know, there's a moving checklist if you want to give somebody a moving checklist. Tell them that they got to change their dentist, right? Say never change your dentist unless you're moving here.
Exactly.
Unless you have no cavities, then you can definitely move it along. I know people like that. I'm like, what do you do? They're like, I just chew on my toothbrush. I'm like, I hate you. And this totally happens. My dentist loves me, by the way. I'm like the best customer.
Hey, Jonathan, if you're getting to the point of closing and to sign that paperwork,
Yeah.
and you'd rather use DocuSign, like how do you?
You could. I like having.
You have them like do a physical signature and then put the whole thing through there anyway later.
Yeah, I physically get it. I get everything physically signed. That's just me. You could do it digitally. You can ask them beforehand. You're pre-qualifying. Do you prefer to sign things digitally? Take care of paperwork digitally? Would you prefer to take any paperwork when we meet digitally, or?
I'd be scared if I left there without something, then they have the opportunity to change it.
Well, that's why if you did it, I would have them sign right there. That's why. But also that's why I like to do the physical right then and there. Feels official.
But then you don't come back and do another via DocuSign.
No, I just scan that and send it to the CC.
I like that. That's another assumption for you to meet them. Would you prefer to sign documentation digitally or print?
Yep. Yeah, simple, right? Would you prefer to sign any paperwork we need to take care of? Would you prefer to take care of that digitally or?
And they're already prepped to sign.
You say it professionally, like with confidence. Look, I mean, most people, they work with the first agent they talk to, for better or for worse. Right? Like I think sometimes we think we're way more important than we actually are. It's an ego business, I get it, but like, come on. Like I know I'm the best agent out there, I really do. But like at the same time, I'm like, most people don't give a rip, right? They don't really, they're like, I like Betsy, she's cool. That's why contacts, connections, whatever is important. Because when they remember you, that's what they use. Use that to your advantage. Use the fact that people, look, if people think we are a commodity, it's your job to explain to you why you're not a commodity. If people think you're a commodity, that's why price becomes an issue. It doesn't matter if I use Redfin. It doesn't matter if I use whatever. I'm going to use the person who gives me the most money back or gives me the lowest commission. That's why, and then that's why scripts are important. That's why understanding actually being a professional. Because the people sense that. Yep.
Who's doing scripts now?
I think we have it on pause this month.
Will's doing it next month.
Will's doing it. Okay. But look, you can look up scripts on YouTube. I mean, you can. Don't let the class be the only time you do scripts.
I did it on the treadmill.
Do it on the
By
treadmill.
myself, to nobody.
Yeah.
I stood there talking and talking and talking.
I just do it in the car.
I talked to the mirror.
Yeah, you're talking in the car on your drive. Just practice the script over and over and over again. Get your own inflections in it. Why does it sound scripted? Did that sound scripted when I talked to you about the negotiation and everything else, or does it sound like I'm just an intelligent person explaining to you while working with the discount broker is the dumbest thing you could do? But not telling you that. Because I practiced that so many times that I can kind of tweak it and modify it, and I don't have to spend time thinking about what am I going to say, what am I going to say, what am I going to say, what am I going to say. I just go, what did they say and how can I address it? Perfect, because it's a conversation. The whole point of scripts is to make it an easy dialogue. It's kind of like a choreographed conversation. You've already choreographed what you've said, so you don't have to think. If you don't think you already have scripts, you already have scripts. When somebody asks you, hey, you go into a store, somebody says, hey, may I help you? What do you usually say? Yeah, it's like that, and then sometimes you say, like, oh, crap, I actually did need help. Like, they ran away, but your conditioned response was your script that you say every single time. Hey, how you doing today? Great, thanks. Actually, like, I just had like the worst day of my life, you know? But like, that's your script. Just great, thanks. Or good, awesome. Really? Is it really? Or is that just your script? Right? Because your script is just, it's help there to get that conditioned response so that when somebody says something, you know what to say. And you don't have to think about it. Like, it's so innate. Like when somebody asks you, you need help at the store, you're not thinking about, and that's almost the problem, right? Because sometimes you do say, no, I'm good, I'm just looking, or I'm just browsing. And then you're like, oh, no, actually, like where'd that person go? Because I didn't even think, it just was a conditioned response. So practice your listing presentation. Definitely practice your listing presentation. Of course, page 70, it says, even with a perfectly prepared descriptive listing presentation and all the confidence in the world, you are bound to come upon what are known as objections. We're just not sure yet. Your commission seems high. We'd like to sleep on it. We're interviewing other agents before we make a decision. How long have you been in business? So one of the things to think about objections, right? What'd you say?
Not all of those. They asked every single one of those.
The one that you know it?
They said that every single one of those on.
These are very common listing objections. These are like the most common, right? But they say they're simply comments or questions from the seller that may seem to slow down or hinder the progress towards an agreement. And you don't have to when you're prepared. So objections are evidence of concern and or uncertainty, and your job is actually to address and allay those concerns with your knowledge and expertise. Top agents, really good agents, they're prepared to answer these objections before they even come up. Obviously, you know that there's great scripts to address every common objection. There's several included at the end of this power session. At the end of the power session, check to look at the scripts. Apparently, there are some scripts. Yep, so objection 1, 2, 3, right? Another agent will charge less. I can appreciate that there's someone who will work for less, but your agent negotiates for you. If they can't negotiate with you about their own money, how likely will they be to fight for your money when the buyers make a low offer? Right? That's an easy script, right? If they're willing to give away their money, the way I like to phrase it better, if they're willing to give away their money that fast, how fast do you think they're going to give away yours? I like that way better because to me, the loss stings a little more. We need an agent with more experience, right? For a lot of the new people. I'm a partner with others in my office, blah, 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 right? Practice the scripts, understand the scripts.
I want to sleep on it, please.
It depends, right? I might say, great, do you mind if I ask, is there anything that I didn't answer, any concerns that you may have that makes you want to sleep on it? Right? because, you know, when you told me before we were on the phone that if you were ready to sell the house, we'd be ready to take care of any paperwork. I just want to make sure that we don't waste any of your time and having to come back and so on and so forth. Well, actually, okay. So let me address the real concern. A lot of times we just want to sleep on it. It's usually not like doing time. Now, if they say, no, really, there's nothing. We think you're amazing. We want to work with you. We just kind of want to sleep on it just to make sure we're making the right decision. I might say, like, look, that's great. I totally get that. Now, just in terms of time's sake, how would we do this? Let's go ahead and let's just take care of the paperwork now. And I'll keep it with me. I'll keep it in the mail. I'll keep it in an envelope, right? And you have my word. I'll even write it on the contract, on the paperwork. And if for whatever reason you don't want to work with me, I'll go ahead. I'll shred this thing and I'll send you the shreds. But I want to do that just to save time, so we can just make sure that we're good to go. So we can just take care of it now. And then if you change your mind the next day or two, 3 days, shoot, 3 months down the road, I'll shred this agreement and send it right back to you. I never want you to be locked into something that you don't agree with. Is that fair? Right? And I think most people are like, okay. And I'd say, like, look, honestly, like, just to save time, can we just take care of the paperwork now? Like, if you change your mind in the next 1 or 2 days, definitely sleep on it. I won't send this to anybody. We'll keep it in this envelope. But I'll call you, in 2 days, make sure that we're good to go. Sound fair? Or they might say, well, yeah, we're actually meeting with a couple other agents. Oh, okay. Great.
Can you tell them they're meeting with a couple other agents? You say, I think you should ask them these specific questions. I'm like,
You can do whatever you want. Yeah. I mean, I might say they're going to work with other agents. First of all, I mean, me personally, I want to be the last agent to talk to them, and I make them promise that they're not going to sign anything with anybody else.
I'm about to say, I want to sell my house, what's that about?
Say, great. Why do you want to? How come you want to do that? Hey, so why do you even have me today? If they want to work for sale by owner, I always say great, awesome. Is there a particular reason why you want to sell it for sale by owner? Yeah, I want to save money. Hey, I totally get that. You can definitely save some money by, you don't have to pay the commission on one side. Now, as you can see from my numbers, one of the reasons why a lot of our clients love working with us, because on average we get 4.8% more. And if we do that versus agents, you can imagine that the NAR statistics show that for sale by owner sell for on average 20% less, nationwide, probably around 5 to 10% less here in San Diego if they sell at all. The difference there is you're already having an extra 9% by working with me, making sure that it actually gets to closing. Now, if you want to do for sale by owner, I totally get that. But in the meantime, if you want to work with a great agent, I'm here, something like that. Right? You might try to get down to why they actually want to sell. A lot of times it's just they want to net more money. Great. So how long would you list it for before deciding to work with an agent? Right? When do you have to be moved by? Oh, okay, you have to be moved in 2 months. Okay, great. So how long would you wait then, assuming that you're going to take at least 30, 60 days? Even right now, right? Because then you might go into like, look, you need to be moved out by 2 months. The average home is selling within 30 days, and the average escrow is 30 days. You're already behind schedule. Are you willing to wait an extra month trying to sell it for sale by owner? And you might sell it, but you may not. Or would you rather just work with someone like me who can make sure that you get there? I do this all the time. Right? Because is it really worth risking having to go through all that hassle trying to sell it cross country and deal with that versus just getting it done right now? Yeah, I think it's worth it. Awesome. Okay, great. It's your decision. As you know, I'm the vice president, you're the president. I'm here just to bring you advice. Right. Any ahas from today? Lots of paperwork.
that's good. Sure, I know about it last.
You get history on your first year as an agent?
That's your usual question.
What is it?
History on your first year as an agent?
History?
Yeah. The transactions for the year?
What we did our first year? We did,
You said we?
me and my wife
Okay. You started as a team.
started as a team. Yeah. So we still had side hustle income. Yeah, we were very strategic in getting into it. But you are building a business. So we did, and man, I wish we started with Coldwell Banker, and I wish we would have started with Kelvins, but we did like 30K net commissions. So it's probably like 60,000 total commissions.
How many escrows was that?
I think it was about 6 or 7.
He's asking everybody, so.
It was a while. It was such a long time ago. I literally
Wait,
forget.
I'm getting that, I'm just looking at an average for everybody, all the top producers are here.
Yeah, but you got to do the work. I mean, that's the thing. Do the work. A lot of people want the results, but they're not committed to them. Really, you got to be committed to the actions, right? To what you're doing. Sound good? You guys gonna tear it up?
Yeah.
You gonna do the work?
Yes, I have a quick question. What's the difference between circle prospecting and geofarming? I mean, are they two interchangeable words or?
No, they're two different things. Farming is when you just choose an area. Most people say referring to an area, but it can even be a demographic that you're just consistently hitting. You can at least, mail. It's usually mail-in, calling, whatever. Circle prospecting is you just call around, just solds, just listeds, whatever. So that could be anywhere.
Oh,
Yeah. Hey, by the way, Erwin. Hey, is this Erwin? Yeah, this is John and Mack, Co-Williams Realty. I don't know if you saw that we just sold a house 5 doors down from you. So for $539, we actually had 5 offers in 4 days, which means that we actually have 4 buyers that are actively looking in the area, really wanting to buy a house. So we have quite an inventory shortage. So we are still looking for other properties to offer these buyers. Just curious, who do you may know that may be thinking about selling a house in the next 6 months? Oh, great. No one? Awesome. Well, as you can see, prices are going up, which means that a lot of people are curious about the price of their house. So I'm just curious, do you want in on that list? No? Okay, phenomenal. Is there anything else I could do for you, Erwin? No? Awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me, and hopefully I'll see you around. Boom, at our next open house, whatever, right? There you go. That's it.
but you go back to that same person again the next time.
That was circle prospecting. With farming you do.
Oh,
Circle prospecting, you might if it's a just listed, then just escrow and just sold. Hey, just I don't know if we had a listing coming up. I'm just curious if you know any buyers who might be thinking about buying in the area. Right? Sound good?
Yeah.
Boom.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.